Wrestling fans, I'm Dan Marotti.
And I'm Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
We want to personally thank you for watching this program and supporting our great efforts to give you the best of professional wrestling stories and in-ring action with the superstars and legends of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Thank you.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
Welcome to a special edition of the Millennium Wrestling Federation and BostonWrestling.com productions. I am Dan Marotti, and this is the first in a series of special studio shoot interviews. Tonight, I am joined by the one and only, man known worldwide, the one and only Iron Sheik. Sheik, thank you for joining us here.
Oh, pleasure, Mr. Dan Marotti. Pleasure for me and to invite me for one of the greatest federation, Maloney Federation.
The Millennium Wrestling Federation.
Yes,
right.
Maloney Wrestling Federation, Boston. And I want to say thanks again. I have a lot of wrestling fans in the Boston. Anytime you call me, ask me, pleasure for myself to I come to see Maloney Federation so I can help a young generation.
That's right. We have many hungry young athletes in the MWF, but tonight we're going to focus more on you. We're going to take a look back at you as a person and your tremendous career that you've had over the past 4+ decades. Let's just start off basically where it all began, Sheik. You were born in Iran. What did you do in Iran? I believe you got into amateur wrestling, I should say.
As a matter of fact, yes, Mr. Dan, and I was lucky. I grew up in the capital of the Iran, Tehran, and Iran, with the two things, is very popular, Mr. Dan, and it's this Greco-Roman wrestling and freestyle wrestling. That's my country, Iran, oldest country in the Middle East, oldest country in the world. Actually, I want to say wrestling thousand years ago come from my country, Persia, and then Romeo, Greco-Roman like Italia. Mm-hmm. So we are the two oldest countries in the Middle East, Iran and Rome, Italia and Greek, and wrestling started from my country. And another one is very popular, is soccer football. Soccer football and international sport, Greco-Roman wrestling and freestyle come from my country. I was lucky in the Tehran, Iran. We had a lot of great champions like Ghulam Reza Takhti, Imam Ali Habibi, and Mr. Namju, and Mr. Zandi. All of my good friends already was an Olympic champion, and especially my best friend for Olympic, he competed, and it was like my brother and my cousin, Ghulam Reza Takhti. He was the first greatest Iranian to compete for Olympic game, Melbourne, Australia, and his first Olympic in 1952, Melbourne, Australia, and then 1956 it was Helsinki, Finland, and then 1960 Rome. That was his third Olympic, and his last Olympic was 1964 Tokyo, Japan. So I grew up with that greatest man. They call him Ghulam Reza Takhti. Takhti was like my brother, and not too many people from one country compete for Olympic except Ghulam Reza Takhti. To later on, he get involved with a politician, and people doesn't know Shah killed the Takhti or Takhti committed suicide. But my brother Takhti, the greatest freestyle wrestler, and compete for Olympic game, and 15 times world champion, very unusual to my prophet Ayatollah Khomeini. Nobody believed Takhti committed suicide. So anyway, I can tell you, Mr. Dan, a lot of story about my country, oldest country in the Middle East. But I was lucky. I grew up with Ghulam Reza Takhti, Imam Ali Habibi, and then I had a great coach, Rahmatullah Ghaffurian. So wrestling is my heart, Mr. Dan, and that was my number one major in the University of Minnesota, wrestling.
Now, what got you interested in wrestling when you were younger, when you were still in Iran?
Well, like I said, Mr. Dan, wrestling is a number one national sport in Iran. It's a Greco-Roman freestyle, and Iran many times come world champion for freestyle and Greco-Roman. Like I say, I saw my cousin been Olympic, and all of my good friends are great Olympic champion, Iranian gold medal. And one thing was good about that day, Mr. Mulani, anytime I wrestling national high school or army, or anytime I go to the for world game or Olympic game, I come back, we go see the king, and king asks us, well, what would you like, a nice house, or you want Mercedes-Benz, or you want, I mean, one thing was good about Shah, always he take care of the wrestler, and he was always good to the athlete in Iran, Muhammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, the king of the Persia. And to the after that, my cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti, he married to the Shahla, and then his last Olympic was 1964 Tokyo, Japan. Come back home and married to the university girls. Her name was Shahla, and he had a little baby by name Babak. And then they found out Takhti committed suicide, and I've been over there. We found out I was working, as a matter of fact, that time for the Shah, and I'm working for the national Iranian television station. And I found out after that, just my heart broke, and I left the country to come to the Minnesota.
Now, was it your amateur wrestling background? Did that lead you to getting the job to become the bodyguard for the Shah of Iran?
Excuse me. As a matter of fact, yes, Mr. Maloney, because, like I said, only thing was good about Shah of Iran, King Muhammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, and his wife, which is I have a lot of pictures for them. If you want, I'll show you later with them. Yeah, he took care of athlete, good, but I didn't really want to. I don't want to be a wrestler to the Shah give me money or host. I just grew up with that sport in Iran. All my neighbor and every 3 people, 2 of them my school or my young days, they go wrestling. So I was lucky. My cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti was behind me, my teacher. It was the best teacher I have, Mr. Rahmatullah Ghaffurian and Habibi, Mr. Habibi, another Olympic champion, my friend, Imam Ali Habibi. And I just, the wrestling is in Iranian blood because we are world champion a long time ago, and wrestling is a big tradition in Iran, and especially with that Persian club I used to do it. That's another national sport. And I'll be honest with you, Mr. Dan, I want to be just Olympic champion, Iranian champion. I made it to the Minnesota or America. I mean, I was 15 years old. I started wrestling, freestyle and Greco-Roman, and I was 125 pounds. But I just want to be a wrestler. I just want to be Olympic champion. And I used to pray all the time, go mosque, and God and Jesus helped me. I made it.
Now, what led you to come from Iran to the United States of America?
That's a good question, Mr. Maloney. And my coach, Mr. Alan Rice, Olympic coach from Minnesota. I met Mr. Alan Rice in the Olympic 68 Mexico City, and Mr. Alan Rice invited me, and my real name is Hossein Khosrow Waziri. And Mr. Alan Rice told me, Mr. Waziri, you are a good wrestler, and if you want to come to the America, I can invite you to come to the Minnesota, and then you can be my assistant. We help in Minnesota team. So I was lucky. I met Mr. Alan Rice, Olympic coach of the America, 1968 in the Mexico City Olympic game. And then I come to the Minnesota, 1969, and I come to the New York. From New York, I brought to the Minnesota, and Mr. Alan Rice, God bless him, him and his wife, they come airport, pick me up, and I was assistant of the University of Minnesota and Minnesota Wrestling Club for 5 years. And I'm making my team to be the best team in the America. They call Minnesota Wrestling Club. I make the longest story short, Mr. Maloney. And Mr. Alan Rice, Olympic coach, invited me to the America.
So you were essentially a wrestling coach for 5 years for the Minnesota Wrestling Club?
Yes, sir, before I come pro.
Very good. Now let me ask you this, Sheik. What was the transition period from you becoming a coach for the Minnesota Wrestling Club to getting into the professional ranks?
Excellent question, Mr. Maloney, because like you asking me that days, I was lucky. I come to from all this country in the Middle East, Tehran, Iran, to the Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Mr. Alan Rice put me in the dormitory or opportunity. Usually the student stay, they call it dormitory or opportunity. And I walk from University of Minnesota to my opportunity. From this street, I walked to another street. That was my college, university opportunity. All students stay. And I stay over there. Mr. Alan Rice give me a room. And then I don't have to pay for breakfast or lunch or supper or nothing. Plus, that day is 69 or 70. I get a couple hundred a week. Mr. Alan Rice take care of me because, like you're asking me, wrestling, freestyle, and Greco-Roman, I don't have to talk. I can show him with the technique, with the calisthenic. I don't have to too much talk because I didn't know English anyway.
Right.
So I just put him to the Olympic routine and world class calisthenic workout. I show him how to do pyramid carry. I show him how to do the suplex, salto. I didn't have to talk. I just do it with the motioning and you understand my point?
Correct.
Yes, sir. So I was lucky. My sport was international. I don't have to talk too much. I can show him how to do the pyramid carry, suplex, salto, how to get shape, how to be the best to get a gold medal. That was my job. Plus, at the same time, I go to university, for example, every night from 4 to the 6 or 5 to the 7, 2 hours. I train my student with Mr. Aaron Rice, which is I was an assistant, but actually I was a real coach because I come from all country and I'm already gold medal. I come to the University of Minnesota. I make my student to be really, after 6 months, they was ready, and I was 5 years assistant, Mr. Aaron Rice. My team was 5 years. I mean, in America, they call it AAU, Amateur Athlete Union Gold Medal. Included myself, Mr. Dan Morales. You can read how many years that medal is.
1971 it reads.
Yes, sir. What weight?
183 and a half.
Exactly. And what country?
United States.
United States.
United States.
Thank you, sir.
So what led you to go from amateur wrestling into professional wrestling? How did that happen?
Excellent question, Mr. Mulani. And that days I was used to live in the Dinky Town, which is always opportunity and dormitory for all the students. It was Dinky Town, and I didn't have a car. I just walked from my dormitory to the university every night to practice 20 below zero. And I never saw snow before. First time I saw was snow. It was in the Minnesota and cold 20 below zero, but I didn't mind. I never missed training with my student. My student was our best team. Gary Alexander, Pat Morrissey, Dan Chandler. I had altogether the 20 wrestlers. My team was the best in America. I'll come back to your question and asking me, sir. And then that days I come to America 69 and 70, 69. I watched professional wrestling on television once a while, and I saw Mr. Vurungania. It was himself excellent background about college wrestling, and he was one of the top 3 in the world that the Olympic wrestling, or we call college or Olympic, which is international. We have only 2 kind of wrestling, Greco-Roman and freestyle, which is I come to both of them gold medal. And I saw that in the Minnesota professional wrestling on the television. I said, wow, this is completely different than my wrestling, freestyle and Greco-Roman. But what can interest me? That days, for example, I saw Mr. Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens, and I saw Larry Hannick, and then Bobby the Brain Heenan, and a lot of big names that days was in that wrestling federation, which is Mr. Gania to the Midwest. What was the NWA or AWA?
AWA.
Excellent. It was AWA, and excuse me. And Mr. Vurungania himself, he was one of the great shooter in the University of Minnesota and AAU, and then any time my team come first place, Mr. Gania, he was a promoter, and he invited Mr. Allen Rice and myself and all of my team to his television station and by Lake Calhoun, and that time Wally Carver was there, and then Mr. Gania, and I met that people, and they took me to their television. They introduced me to the Minnesota people. Khosrow Kaus, they call me short name Kaus. Khosrow Waziri, assistant of the Minnesota Wrestling Club, and with Mr. Allen Rice, and he doing great job. And anytime we come back from championship or tournament, Mr. Gania, a very nice man, invite my team to his television, plus introduce me and my coach and my team to the people, because himself, he was one of a great amateur background. And then after 5 years, back and forth, Mr. Gania invite me and my team his television, and then finally, Mr. Gania, I saw him the last time I saw Mr. Gania, Olympic Munich, Germany, 72. I saw him in Germany, and I took him to watch the wrestling, and Mr. Gania and his wife, Mary Gania, which is Mr. Gania's wife, give me that name, Aaron Sheikh, and then in the old days, and Mr. Gania come to the Olympic Munich, Germany. I take him watch the Olympic wrestling, and that time my team was good. Dan Gable, John Peterson, Ben Peterson, American team come second in the Munich Olympic game, and by my best wrestler I had Dan Gable, come gold medal. I was his teacher. John Peterson, Ben Peterson, and all a good wrestler. I was their teacher. And then Mr. Gania told me, Carlos, if we're going back to the Minnesota, are you interested to come pro wrestling? I said, yes, sir. If you want, I can. I mean, I like to, because on University of Minnesota only I make a couple $100 a week. But Mr. Gania told me, you are a good wrestler. You have a name. And I'm a promoter of the professional wrestling. If you're interested, you can come, and I teach you, or I train you about professional. Because professional wrestling, Mr. Maloney, is completely different than my wrestling, freestyle and Greco-Roman. Which is that days, Mr. Gania was one of the top promoters in your country. For example, if New York was #1, Charlotte, North Carolina was #2. Charlotte was #3. Minnesota, NWA was #2 territory in your country. And then, anyway, I'll make the longest story short, Dan. Mr. Gania invited me after my last Olympic, Munich, Germany, and I turned pro, 73. And Mr. Gania had a big farm, and his farm had a ring, and 20 below zero, no heat. In we training that in his farm, and his assistant was Billy Robinson that days. So Billy Robinson and Mr. Gania invited me 73, and that camp was Ric Flair, Camputera, Greg Gagne, Jim Brunzeller, and myself. We all together 6. We started in the 73 in Minnesota.
How long was that wrestling camp? How long did you train before you actually started working matches in the
Only
territory?
8 weeks.
Only 8 weeks?
Yes, sir, because see, I was a natural already gold medal, AAU, Pan American, Iranian Army, World Game, high school. I grew up with the wrestling all my life, Mr. Dan, since 15 years old. The only job I had, my favorite sport was freestyle and Greco-Roman in the whole country. And wrestling, it was my heart. Wrestling was my, I was married to the wrestling.
Right.
Yes, sir. Only thing in whole country I did 3 times, between 5 to 7, all year round, practice. You know, Mr. Milano, you're an intelligent man. You know about my sport wrestling. And then a lot of people in the Boston. That's because you invite me here, and pleasure for me to ask me any question you want, no problem. But like I said, nothing comes easy in your country. And if you want to be Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Khosrow Vaziri, Aaron Sheikh, you have to make the gym. Practice, training. Practice make us to be the best and perfection. And that was my major sport, my major in the high school, college, army. So I made it to Minnesota. And then thanks to Mr. Gagne to invite me to Acom Pro. And it was a rough day that day I started after 10 gold medal. Mr. Gagne gave me the truck. Drive the truck in the Midwest from Minneapolis to the Winnipeg one way, 500 miles, put on the ring, pick up the ring, referee, put everything again in the truck, make you turn all night, come back from Winnipeg to Minneapolis, 500 miles. But I didn't mind. I did it. And I paid for my due. After 10 gold medals, I was a AAU champion, Olympic champion, Iranian, Army, high school. Altogether, I had 18 medals, and Mr. Gagne gave me the job to either drive the truck, put on the ring, pick up the ring, referee, or wrestling press match. Because I just started a pro wrestler, which is I didn't mind, and I did it. 20 below 0, I go Milwaukee, I go Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I go Green Bay. I go all over to Chicago. And 24 hours I was on the road on the Midwest, 20 below 0, ice and snow. And all over another side, Des Moines, all over to the Sioux City, Omaha, Denver. That was his territory. And I used to drive. And for many months, I drive the truck. I put on the ring, pick up the ring, referee, or be a training, a young generation. So I made it to the Madison Square Garden, New York.
How long did you work the AWA territory for before you moved on to some of the other ones in the United States?
I mean, AWA?
How long did you work in AWA for?
That means for Mr. Gagne?
For Mr. Gagne, right.
Oh, as a matter of fact, Mr. Mulani, we started 73. After 2 months, we already was pro wrestler, and then I was actually, I was there maybe 1 or 2 years. 2 years I was on their knee, and I was getting la grace about pro, because professional wrestling completely different than amateur.
Right.
I was a shooter. I was a gold medal. Nobody wants to work with me. Everybody was scared because I was a good shooter.
Right, exactly.
Maybe I suplex him, maybe stretch him like Carol Gotch, break their knee. Or
right.
I mean, I had a bad reputation because for my gold medal, nobody wants to wrestle with Aaron Sheikh because they was scared, they was nervous. Because professional wrestling is completely different than amateur. Then, you know, 95% of boys that days, they didn't know about shooting.
Right.
Except myself, Barry Robinson, or Mr. Gagne himself. Or later on, Jack Briscoe, Jerry Briscoe, they was good from South. So I was, after 2 years, I put on the ring, pick up the ring, referee. Finally, I tell Mr. Gagne, I don't want to wrestling anymore, good guy. I prefer to, as long as your son is a good guy, or Jim Brunzeller, or Ara Malik, a good baby face, good guy. I'm Iranian, and they don't care about me. I like to wrestling be a bad guy.
Right.
And then Mr. Ghani's wife, as a matter of fact, we was not too far from Boston, Olympic 1976 Montreal. And Mr. Ghani again come watch the game. I had taken him inside, and his wife Mary, Mrs. Ghani, Mary, God bless her. I think she's passed away. And she, I tell Mr. Ghani, after 2 years, enough. I want to live in Minnesota, and I want to go to different territory. And that days, Mr. Dan was good. We didn't have only one territory. For example, AWA, and then South was Mr. Belbots, and then another one, Mr. Von Eric, God bless him, Texas. So up there, and then Kansas City. So anyway, I make the longest story short, Mr. Maloney. After 2 years, I was in Minnesota, try learning about professional, and I was starving, no money. I didn't make any money. My wife pregnant, a little baby. So I tell Mr. Ghani, I like to change my style from good guy to I be bad guy, and I want to go on the road. That means I want to go different territory.
Right.
And you, a smart man, Mr. Mulani, you know, old days, we had more than one territory.
Absolutely.
So that way, I said, well, I'm home enough, and now I want to go different territory. So Mr. Ghani said, okay, I'm going to talk to the Bob Gagel and Kansas City and her race. So you go over there, and I have a new name for you. He gave me that new name in the Olympic game. In the restaurant, they invite me, like you invited me last night, that restaurant, Chinese restaurant. What
Calhoun restaurant.
Calhoun restaurant, you invite me, thanks, by the way. It was a good dinner. Calhoun people, owner, very nice people, take me. Anytime we go over there, they respect the wrestler, they take care of the wrestler good. I want to say hello to that owner of the
Wong family.
I'm sorry?
The Wong family.
Kwang family?
Wong.
One. How do you spell?
W-O-N-G.
They call one family.
Yes, that's the family that
So
owns it.
please, you give my regard and say hello to them. They take care of me very good, which is thank you, invite me over there. And same thing, Mr. Ghani, in the Olympic Games 76, Montreal invited me to the French restaurant. And then Mr. Ghani and his wife, I tell him I want a wrestling, no more baby face. That means no more good guy.
Right.
And I want a wrestling heel. That means bad guy. You don't want to, I said no kayfabe.
Right, exactly.
So, and I tell Mr. Ghani, yeah, I want a wrestling is to the baby face heel. That means a villain or bad guy. Because I'm a really Iranian man, and nobody cares about me. I said, your son is a baby face, or Jim Bronzel, or All-American. And I said, okay, I have a new name for you, but you have to go, we go back home after Montreal 76, but we go back to the Minnesota. He said, shave your head, and put your real old countryman mustache, and get them your robe, bring your old country custom clothes, and I have a new name for you. I said, what is the new name? Mrs. Ghani, I said, the Iron Sheik. So, oh, I'm an Iron Sheik. I said, well, okay, Iron Sheik. And she said, yeah, because your body is like Iron. You are a gold medal. You are a tough, rugged man. You match your name, Iron Sheik. I said, okay, if you like that name, I'm happy. So Mrs. Ghani gave me that name, God bless her. And since that, I come Iron Sheik. And then and Mr. Ghani booked me to the Bob Gagel, Kansas City. And I was maybe, for example, 1 year Kansas City, Soldier Slaughter, myself. We was over there and I wrestling with a bad guy, and my partner was my dog Vishon.
Mad Dog Vachon?
Yes, sir. And after that, my second territory was to go Texas. That time, God bless him, Mr. Von Eric was a promoter of the Texas. And I stayed, for example, 2 years in the Texas. What called that territory? What was the name?
World class.
World class. Excellent. You remember, Mr. Maloney? And you remember Bob Gagel? What was his territory?
He was in the Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Right.
Excellent. So we wrestled in Kansas City, Topeka, all the way to St. Louis, Kilo Auditorium. So I was 1 year Kansas City. After that, Mrs. Ghani gave me the Orange Sheik name. And I had my robe, my boots, everything, whatever. And after I left the Kansas City, I went to the Dallas, Mr. Von Eric. 2 years I was there. And Mr. Von Eric, God bless him, he was an excellent promoter, and we're wrestling Dallas, Fort Worth, all over to San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Rangers, Amarillo, and that was a world class, right, sir?
Correct.
Excuse me. And I was over there 2 years, and my student was 5 beautiful, young, excellent shape. I trained him then. That is Sport Auditorium in the Dallas. And it was Kevin, David, Kerry, Mark, and Chris. 5 brothers. And I miss him. God bless all of them. And I was their first teacher. And I trained him 2 years. And also I wrestling. I had a great time in the Texas. And feel very bad. And between all my 5 students, only 1 left, Kevin.
Kevin's the only one left.
Yes,
out of the 5,
sir. And I had a great time, Mr. Maloney, in the Texas. And after that, Mr. Terry Funk and Dory Funk invited me to the Amarillo. I was another maybe 1 year, Amarillo. And I wrestled coast to coast in your country, Mr. Maloney. And then also wrestling for Bell Watts that time, too. So
then in the late 1970s, you went to the big city, New York City, at the time the Worldwide Wrestling Federation, and you wrestled as the Great Hussein Arab, correct?
Absolutely right, Dan. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The Great Hussein Arab, that was the first name after Aaron Sheikh, Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon Senior, I mean, I don't want to...
Right, senior.
Right. This Mr. McMahon Senior idea was to, I used that name, the Great Hussein Arab. You're absolutely right. I think I used that name for quite a while, maybe 1 year, 2 years. And then after that, I wrestling in the South with another name. Gary Hart was my manager, Muhammad Farouk.
What was that again?
Muhammad Farouk.
Muhammad Farouk?
Yes, sir, in the Texas. And then, I wrestling with 2, 3 different names. The Great Hussein was the first. Mr. McMahon Senior gave me that name. You're right. And after that, Gary Hart, I was wrestling for World Class Texas. Gary Hart was my manager. They give me a different name, Muhammad Farouk. And then Ali Waziri, something like that, till I make it to come back again. And then Mr. McMahon Jr., they let me use my real name, Aaron Sheikh.
Now, during your first run with the Worldwide Wrestling Federation in the late 70s, who were some of the guys you worked with? I remember that you were part of the first ever Battle Royal at Madison Square Garden, and you actually won and faced the Worldwide Wrestling Federation heavyweight champion Bob Backlund that night.
Oh, God bless you, Mr. Maloney. You remind me about that. I even forgot myself. You're absolutely right. You are very intelligent gentleman.
Welcome,
You remember that. You're absolutely right. I was the first Iranian to come to the Battle Royal, as a matter of fact, right. And after I went the Battle Royal, that was the first Battle Royal, as a matter of fact, I come champion.
Right.
You remember? And then after the Battle Royal, they said anybody win the Battle Royal have to wrestle with Mr. Bob Backlund, which is I did. I won the Battle Royal, and then I wrestled with Mr. Bob Backlund. You're absolutely right, sir. Which is, what year was Mr. Maloney?
Well, that's 1983. You're jumping a little bit ahead of the gun. I don't know if that's coming
them
up on camera, but we'll certainly insert it.
Okay.
You and Bob Backlund, but this, what we're talking about now is when you...
I'm sorry, and also that was I'm a real strongest human being in the professional and Olympic wrestling with that Persian club, oldest sport in my country. I'm a legend, I'm the champion. Nobody break my record about Persian club, included Mr. Bob Backlund. Now, cameraman, you can see it. I put him in the camel garage. He was lucky to when Mr. Arnold scored and throw the towel, so I didn't break his back. Otherwise, he didn't have a choice.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now, who else did you work with in that first run when you were the Great Hussein Arab?
Not work, wrestling.
Who did you wrestle?
Yes, sir.
In addition to Backlund, did you have any matches with Bruno or Pedro
Oh,
Morales,
God
any of
bless
the
you.
guys during the day?
As a matter of fact, that days you come in to tell. You talking about I was in New York. Yeah?
Right.
I said, yes, sir. I had the greatest match in New York. No any human being see the match like Aaron Sheikh with the soldier and slaughter, especially the Campbell match, Palace. Another my match, I had a great match with the Bruno Sammartino. We sold out the Madison Square Garden, Mr. Mulani, with Bruno Sammartino more than any another wrestler in the history of the WWF. I broke the record for Mr. McMahon for his company. I make Mr. McMahon be a billionaire because I was the horse. I take my short till I go in the ring. Not Mr. McMahon, Mr. Maloney. And I was a legend. I was Olympic gold medal, AAU. I broke the record for WWF all this. I was the hottest Middle Eastern wrestler. I come to your country, WWF or WWE. I had more heat than any human being because I was a natural Iranian. I speak the Farsi and all my wrestling fans know خسرو وزیری قهرمان ایران قهرمان دنیا فامیل غلامرضای تختی من اولین ایرانی بودم که آمدم تو آمریکا مادیسون سکوئر گاردن کالپالاس I sold out all of them, Mr. Maloney. I'm sorry I speak Farsi, but I want to let you know and my Persian Iranian people know I'm the real legend and I'm a real Olympic gold medal, not Hulk Hogan, not Ric Flair. None of them been through the like Aaron Sheik to get that gold medal. I respect Mr. Kurt Angle. Mr. Kurt Angle come after the Aaron Sheik. Well, yeah, I mean, cameraman, I wish he was here so you can zoom it. Don't get me wrong. I respect the Kurt Angle, but the Kurt Angle is come after Aaron Sheik. I get the gold medal before Kurt Angle. Mm-hmm. You know, Mr. Maloney. I respect Kurt Angle. He's a great wrestler, but he's not Aaron Sheik anyway. But he's compared to all of them. He's great. He's the best. He's Olympic gold medal. But I had the medal before Kurt Angle. You know, Mr. Maloney. And I sold out Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden, Providence, Rhode Island, Worcester, Massachusetts, and Portland, Maine, all the way to Montreal, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia. I sold out all of them because I was the rare wrestler, and especially Boston, Massachusetts, my wrestling fans, they know. Anytime Aaron Sheik is in the Boston Garden always was sold out and packed.
Sheik, in the late 1979, you left the Worldwide Wrestling Federation and you went back to work the NWA territories again. You were up in the NWA Pacific Northwest. You had a tag team title run with Bull Ramos. You worked in NWA Canada. You had a 2.5-month tag team run with the Texas Outlaw. Then in 1980, you became the NWA Mid-Atlantic champion down in Charlotte area. What was that like?
Wow, excellent, Mr. Maloney. You have, as a matter of fact, good memory. That days, as a matter of fact, you're right. I was wrestling with Ivan Koloff in that days, and 100%. You're right, sir. And I had 2 belts, as a matter of fact, in that days. I was a Mid-Atlantic champion and, as a matter of fact, Canadian champion. And I had a great time. And that promoter that days was, I think his name was, you're talking about Jimmy Crockett,
correct.
And the booker was George Scott.
Right.
Right. And you're right. I was over there for quite a while. And I'm sorry, the question you asked me, I forgot that.
What did you think of working down for the Crockett's in the Mid-Atlantic territory?
Well, as a matter of fact, it was excellent. I was Mid-Atlantic champion and Canadian champion. I beat Jim Bronzeller in the Mid-Atlantic. I want to show you the picture later. And then also I was a Canadian champion. I beat Dewey Robinson. And then Angel Moscow. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Angel Moscow. I had a great time. I was 3 years over there. That was my first break, as a matter of fact. We wrestling in Charlotte. And then Mr. David Crockett had Mr. Spence used to take me from Charlotte, drive all over to the center stage, Atlanta, Georgia, make our television tape over there. I had a 2 years great time over there, and the booker was Mr. George Scott, excellent booker, and I was Mid-Atlantic champion, and I had a great manager, God bless him, he passed away, Gene Anderson, only brother. So, and I wrestled a lot of big name over there, as a matter of fact, Big Jack Mulligan, and then, you're right, Bo Remus was press over there, and then also I wrestled with Bo Remus for Mr. Don Owen in Oregon.
In Portland, right.
Portland, Oregon, yes, sir. I beat the Super Plus snooker. I was a champion. And my partner was the Indian man you're talking. Good memory you have. Bo Remus.
Right.
He was Indian.
Right.
Yes, sir. And I had a good run over there. I was happy. And it was a good territory for me. And especially we had a lot of big names. Big Jack Mulligan, myself, Ric Flair, and my student, I brought him to the wrestling business, Ricky Steamboat. Also, I was training young professional people in the Mr. Gania had a ring. I trained, for example, my student was Ricky Steamboat and Scott Ehrman, Wyatt Ehrman brother, he passed away.
The Irwins?
Yes, sir. And Bill Ehrman and Jim Bronzeller. A lot of young generation. I trained him and Mr. Gani, I charge him and he take care of me too. So it was I had a good run, as a matter of fact, in the Charlotte territory. What I call that territory, remember?
That was Mid-Atlantic.
Mid-Atlantic, yes, sir.
Were the Crockett's fair with you on as far as their promises to you and payoffs and so on and so forth?
Yes, sir. It was my first break, but it was not like WWF, but it was good. I was happy. And the booker was a nice man. God bless him, George Scott.
Now, in 1981, I read here that you worked for Bill Watts in the Mid-South area. What was that like? Everyone says there were extreme driving trips every week back and forth to different cities. What was it like working down there?
You're absolutely right. We're wrestling over there, for example, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and next day we have to go Oklahoma City. That means drive all the way from New Orleans or Baton Rouge all the way to the Oklahoma City, long driving, and then Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Arkansas, and then Shreveport, and then it was a different territory, but I was, as a matter of fact, over the 2 years too. God bless him, I had a good friend over there, Blackman, JYD. I wrestled with JYD.
Junkyard Dog?
Junkyard Dog, yes, sir. And another big name was over there, my neighbor, Paul Onderhoff was over there.
Paul Ondorf?
Yes, sir. Paul was over there, good wrestler, great football player. And then, and my manager, I think that days was, I'm not sure, my manager was Jimmy Hart or was maybe Bill was Gary Hart.
Gary Hart?
Yes, sir. I'm a ballhead guy.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So, I mean, I had a good run. I had a good time. 2 years I wrestling for that organization. Bell was territory. What was the name of that?
Mid-South.
Mid-South.
Right.
And I used to live in the state capital of the Louisiana, Baton Rouge.
Bob Orton was down there at that time, wasn't he?
As a matter of fact, Bob Orton was there too. And I had a great time, especially Bob Orton was a high school wrestler, and he come from wrestling background, and my English was not too good. And Bob was like my teacher for English, and take me on the road, travel with Bob, all that area, 2-3 years we was together. Well, Bob Orton was one of my best friends. I had to take me on the road, drive together, and then I had a lot of good road, great road with him on the road, and he was, as a matter of fact, matched me because he was a wrestler. I grew up wrestling. His father was a wrestler. My cousin was a wrestler. So I get along with Bob, and Bob was the best friend I had, and we make a lot of trips together.
In all of those long trips, did you have any crazy road stories from the Mid-South times?
As a matter of fact, yes. Lot of great time I had with Bob. Bob Roop was over there, Paul Onderhoff, JYD, but I used to travel with Bob and with exam. One night was a bad night for Bob. I remember we was El Dorado, Arkansas.
El Dorado, Arkansas?
Yes, sir, redneck town. So Bob always liked to, after a match, to go in a bar to have a few beer. So I tried to be sociable like Bob, you know, and my friend, a little bit beer, a little bit medicine, a little bit this, a little bit that. But that night, my roommate was Mr. Bob Rube. And in the El Dorado, Arkansas, very small town. And Bob Orton was a champion of the Mid-South, and that year I'm talking. And then Bob Rube and myself, one room, and my neighbor was Bob Orton. So Bob Orton asked me, Sheik, I want to go in the bar. You want to come with me, Baba, have a few drinks? I said, no, not tonight. You go ahead. I'm with Mr. Bob Rube. I'm talking about business, and we're watching TV. So Bob go by himself, Mr. Maloney, to the redneck bar, because from our room to the bar, we can walk.
Right.
So he go in the bar, and he stay in the bar to maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And all of a sudden, 2 o'clock in the morning, the bouncer come knock my door. And he said, Mr. Sheik, and your friend Bob Orton is in the parking lot. If you don't come help him, maybe we have to send him to the hospital. He needs you. I said, for what? He said, yeah, he had a few drinks. And then I love Bob Orton, but after he had a few drinks, he completely changed. He was looking for trouble. He wanted to beat up the people. He wants to slap the people. That way, he was a little bit dangerous. So anyway, I'll make the longest story short, Mr. Maloney. In that bar that night, he talked to some beautiful redneck woman, and he asked the redneck woman, I'm a Bob Orton, I'm a champion of the South, come into my room, maybe we can have a little bit medicine, or a little bit party, or sex, whatever. So, and then the redneck woman tell him, I don't care about you, Bob Orton. Who is a Bob Orton? Whatever. And Bob tell him, yeah, I'm a champion. I'm champion of this Mid-South or whatever. And then and the lady said, no, I don't care, and I'm not going to come in your room. And Bob get vicious after that, slap the woman and throw the beer to the redneck woman's face. And as much as soon Bob left the bar, come in the parking lot, 5 cowboys and jump him. They beat him up so bad. His face was like Sonny Liston. And then they left him in the parking lot, and the monster come tell me, she come help him, take him in the room. And then I come, was true. And Bob Rube, my friend, tell me, no, Sheik, don't go ahead. He's a troublemaker, and he deserves it. I said, no, man, Bob Orton is a good friend, man. I'm going to go. So I take him. My foreign object, I put in my pocket, I go in the parking lot, and I take him, we go in the bar, and the people beat him up, they all was gone. An officer come tell me, Sheik, that was his fault, he get drunk, he's a troublemaker, take him into your room, or otherwise I'm going to take both of you to the jail. That was the only bad night I had with the Bob. Besides that, I had a great time with the Bob, and I have a lot of story, I can say all of them. I can talk all day long or not long about on the road with Nicola, this, that. I'm glad that's all my life. Yes.
Something that the fans might be interested in. Back in 1982, you worked some tours for New Japan. What was that like?
To wrestling for
New Japan?
New Japan promoter was Antonio Inoki,
Right.
Right?
Yes.
I had a great time in Japan. As a matter of fact, I've been to Japan 10, 15 times and wrestling with Antonio Inoki, Tokyo Dome, Niigata, and Osaka, Hiroshima, and north, south of the Japan. I had a great time in Japan. I had a great match with the promoter of the Japan, Mr. Anthony Inoki. And I sold out Tokyo Dome, I sold out Nagoya, I sold out Hiroshima, Osaka, and I had a great time in Japan. Japan is like your country, America. They love wrestling, professional wrestling. And I wrestling with all of them, like Fujinami and Sakaguchi. I wrestled with Ricky Dose all days. God bless
Ricky
you.
Dose?
Yes, sir. And then also wrestling with Giant Baba. God bless him, Giant Baba.
Giant Baba?
Yes, sir. And another young man was wrestling for a Giant Baba, Olympic wrestler. He passed away young from Baba Company. Not Fujinami. Very good, tall, good wrestler. He come to Texas too. They smart him over there in Amarillo. A very, very big name. I forgot his name. He passed.
Talking about Bruiser Brody?
No, Bruiser Brody was American.
Oh, this was
I'm
Japanese
talking about
wrestler.
Japanese Baba up his very like Sakaguchi was a big name for Anthony Anokuyu. That man was a big name for a Baba Company. Tall. I forgot his name. Anyway, I was a shooter for Mr. Giant Baba. Anybody wants to challenge with the Baba, they have to come through to the Sheik. If they beat the Sheik, and then they can wrestle with the Giant Baba. And nothing. You know, I'm talking about Mark.
Right.
There was we didn't smart the Mark right away about our business. He wants to come challenge with Mr. Gania. He wants to challenge with Mr. McMahon. They have to go through to the Orange Sheik first. If they beat the Orange Sheik, and then they can wrestling with him. And that young man I'm talking, his name is Fujinami and Jampu Turuta.
Jumbo Ceruto.
You know I'm talking.
Yes, he did
right?
pass away young.
He
You're
did
right.
pass away, yeah. My mind is still working.
Your mind never shuts off. Sure.
Thank you, sir. Still I remember about our sports.
Now, in 1983, you were down in WWC in Puerto Rico. Now, everyone said that was a wild and dangerous territory. What are some of your memories when you were down in Puerto Rico?
Well, I'm glad you asked me that question. 27 years back in Puerto Rico, I wrestled with Mr. Carlos Colon, Jose Gonzalez, Estrada, and TNT, and Abdullah the Butcher, myself. We studied go to Puerto Rico. And Ronnie Garvin, King Horror Race, myself, and God bless him, Bruiser Brody, my good friend. I wrestled with him also Australia, and then for the Australian company, and for Mark Lewin, New Zealand, and another one very Steve Regard in the New Zealand. Anyway, I make the long story short. God bless him. Bruiser Brody was my good friend. We traveled together with Big John and Stud, and Australia and New Zealand. And after many years, I go Puerto Rico, wrestling all island up and down. That year, Jose Gonzalez killed the Bruiser Brody. Since that, I didn't care about Puerto Rico too much, and I didn't go back. Because nobody wants to wrestle with the killer promoter. And then plus, I was there 1 week before with Abdullah. Jose Gonzalez take the Bruiser Brody in the locker room, and I tell him, you have to put Danny Spivey over, Danny Spivey.
Danny Spivey?
Right. You have to wrestle with Danny Spivey. You have to put the Danny Spivey over. Bruiser Brody, he was all businessman. And he gave the promoters sometimes rough time. They have to do his way or no way.
Right.
So anyway, he didn't do the job he have to do. They get mad at him. They take him in the shower room with the knife on the towel, whatever, and then they kill the Bruiser Brody. And after that, nobody wants to go wrestling for a killer promoter, and I stopped to go. But I had a lot of great time in the Puerto Rico. Sold out Puerto Rico with Carlos Colon, Jose Gonzalez, all over Puerto Rico. Business was excellent after they killed the Bruiser Brody, and we stopped to go Puerto Rico, no more.
Very good. Right after that, you headed back up north. Now it was the World Wrestling Federation, and instead of being run by Vince McMahon Sr., it was now run by Vince McMahon Jr., who everyone knows now as Mr. McMahon. What was it like to come back to the Northeast?
It was excellent feeling again to Mr. McMahon Sr. called me again and come back again north. And I was that day I was the hottest wrestler in the earth, because with that hostage situation, 1980, especially Shah left Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini come back from Paris. He was exiled for 15 years. He had Ayatollah Khomeini, the leader of the Islamic religions. I'm a Shia Muslim. Ayatollah Khomeini, my leader, he was exiled for 15 years in the Paris, and then Shah, after he killed my cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti, Shah have to leave the Iran big revolution, and all the university of the Tehran, Iran, all intelligent wrestling fans and all sport people, because they know Ghulam Reza Takhti never commits suicide. The greatest 4 Olympic champion, my cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti, he was the best. After Secret Service, they call Savak. The strongest secret service, Savak was behind the Shah, and also CIA, your country, CIA, American CIA was behind the Shah, because especially Mr. President Carter was behind the Shah. 10% of oil come to your country, and $62 million a day. That's because the Shah had a good support. Who was his support? Your country's CIA and President Carter. And that's because they killed my cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti, because my cousin told the Shah, instead of you give me Mercedes-Benz, instead of you take care of me, I don't need your money. I don't need your Mercedes-Benz. You are the richest man in the world. You are the king of the Persia. You worth at $62 billion. You should make more highway, more hospital, more university. I don't need your money, and I'm not going to kiss your hand. And that's because my cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti, the greatest babyface in the Persian history, 4 Olympic Games, Melbourne, Australia, Helsinki, Finland, and last is another Olympic, 1960 Rome, and 64 Tokyo, Japan. 4 Olympic, Ghulam Reza Takhti come the champion, gold medal, bring the Iranian flag up in the stadium of the Olympic. And then Secret Service, Shah, CIA, killed my brother, Ghulam Reza Takhti, and University of the Tehran, big revolution. Shah left, come to the America. Who was behind the Shah? The American CIA, Mr. President Carter at that time, and was on the office. And then I was in New York, and I come with the Ayatollah flag. I was the most dangerous, most hated wrestler in the history of the WWF, and I sold out the WWF. I make the WWF billion dollar, especially with my best wrestler with Bruno Sammartino, sold out Madison Square Garden more than any other human being, and Cal Palace, Boston Garden, and then from wherever, coast to coast, because Mr. McMahon beat all the promoter, bankrupt all promoter, because for his cable.
Right.
And then I was the most hated wrestler in the history of the WWF. I break the record for Mr. McMahon company. He knows I was the horse. He cannot run the wagon without horse. But also, I'm not mad at Mr. McMahon Jr. and Senior I lost my belt to that Hollywood Blonde jabroni Hulk Hogan, and somebody else and give me $100,000. My old coach, Mr. Gania, try break his leg, take the belt to Minnesota. But Mr. McMahon Senior and Junior, no. The hand fit the Aaron Sheikh. Aaron Sheikh is good Muslim, good religious man. The hand fit me. Mr. Mulani, you help me. You bring me to the Boston. You take care of me. And you fit me as against my religious. Try to cut your hand. But I'm a man. I'm a real champion. Shah of Iran killed my cousin Ghulam Reza Takhti, and he left. Come back to the America. American was behind him. They didn't give him back. That's because Ayatollah come back from Paris, and then the Shah didn't even come back. Shah left the Iran to the America, after America to the Panama. From Panama, he passed away in the Egypt. And I can tell you all day, all night history about all this country in the Middle East, my Tehran, Iran. But I want to let you know that day, President Mr. President Reagan, God bless him, after President Carter,
right,
sent a helicopter over there, and people died with the helicopter crash.
right.
And Ayatollah was on the chart. Ayatollah Khomeini, Shah left, passed away in Egypt. He never come back again to Iran because he was a very vicious man like Hitler, like Saddam Hussein. I'm a real man. I'm a real Muslim. Grew up with a heart, love, feeling. A sport friendship is the best. I'm the best athlete in the world. I'm a gold medal, but I have a heart. I have a love. I care about the good people. I care about the promoter as not take care of me. And I want to make a long story short. I can tell you all night history about my country. And then what did you ask me, Mr. Malani, about the...
Well, at this point, you were back in the WWF in 1983. What was it like now that Vince Jr. took over Vince Sr.? What were the difference in the two men's promoting styles?
Well, I'll be honest with you, that days, Mr. McMahon Sr. called me. I come to the Wrestling for his federation, World Wrestling Federation, #1 federation in the world. Mr. McMahon Sr. only he shake hand, whatever he say. I shake hand, no writing, no reading, no contract.
Right.
And we believe that, man. God bless him. He was the best promoter. Take care of me. And especially since he knew I didn't double-cross his company to take the belt for $100,000 to the Mr. Ghania territory because Hogan was over there. And they once bring the Hogan to the here later on after I beat Mr. Bob Backlund. 6 years. You know, Mr. Mulani, you're very intelligent, all-American Boston wrestling fan. You know 6 years, nobody beat Mr. Bob Backlund, right?
Correct.
I beat him, and then that Hollywood branch of Ronnie Hulk Hogan come, and then Mr. Ghania called me and told me, cause don't drop the belt to him, break his fucking leg, take the belt, come to the Minnesota. I'll give you $100,000. I said, Coach, I call Mr. Ghania coach. I call him coach. I was Minnesota after 10 gold medal, university 5 years, university, my team, Minnesota Wrestling Club, 5 years AU champion, 10 gold medal, Iranian champion, Shah of Iran bodyguard, which is also, you know, Mr. Maloney, show your country people Orange Sheikh and Shah wife Farah, I was the bodyguard. And look at Mr. Maloney, this is a real shoot. Can you please, I want to show you my young days, Mr. Maloney. Read it about my Olympic background.
Olympic champion, the hat trick, 1968 Mexico City, silver medal. Munich, Germany, gold medal in 1972, bronze medal, Montreal, Quebec, Canada, 1976.
God bless you. I made it to be like we talk about Mid-Atlantic. That's Mid-Atlantic belt, remember? And that's Canadian belt.
In the Canadian Championship.
Excellent. You have very impressed me, Mr. Maloney. You remember that days. I was at my first Mid-Atlantic,
right.
Charlotte. And then I beat Angela Moscow, Canada. So I was Mid-Atlantic and Canadian champion. Now I want to show you something else. Right. I made it to be the best, to the most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, with the classy Fred Blassie, the best manager I had. I come 3 times champion, and then he was the best manager I had. Show him, Mr. Maloney, the camera was zoomed. And I'm the real. I'm not that jabroni Hollywood blonde faggot Hulk Hogan or Baltimore Ware. I'm the real deal thing. I'm the legend, like that two legend. Every 100 years, motherboard, son, every 100 years, to be one like Muhammad Ali and one like the Orange Sheikh. And that's my young days. Show him, Mr. Maloney, to the people. And like I say, show another one, Mr. Maloney. Nobody breaks the Orange Sheikh record in the world. I put that jabroni Hulk Hogan on the camel clutch and Soldier Slaughter, cameraman zooming. I put him in the camel clutch, the most famous arena in the world. Same as Ivan Koloff. I get this, show him in the Mid-Atlantic. I'm the only one, every 100 years, come to the most famous country in the world, Madison Square Garden, New York, to be 3 times WWF and WWE, what I call E champion. This is the last one. I want to show you, cameraman, look at, the only one all intelligent people remember the Iron Sheik, and with the best manager in the world, classy.
Freddie Blassie, that's right.
Exactly.
Now
Mr. Blassie.
Let's talk at extent about this situation where you won the championship, because I think it's a very, very interesting time period when the WWF started its national expansion. Apparently when Vince McMahon Jr. took over from Sr., he saw Bob Backlund as someone that was rather bland, and he wanted to switch the championship to Hulk Hogan. Hogan was on fire out for Vern Gagne in the Midwest, drawing great crowds, and they decided to go to you as the champion that would be very credible, that could end Bob Backlund's 6-year reign and go to Hogan. Now, on December 26, 1983, that was the night at Madison Square Garden, you against Bob Backlund, a finish that people still talk about to this day. Arnold Skolin took the towel, threw it in the ring. The question is, was that planned? Was that a credible way for Backlund to lose the match without actually having to say, I quit or I submit? Or was that something that was not planned ahead of time?
Mr. Milano, don't never ever insult me to tell me it was a plan. It was not a plan. Number one, wrestling, professional wrestling is the toughest sport in the world. Nothing is planned. If you know you can be the old jabroni, why you want to be a loser to lose the belt to somebody else? Professional wrestling is one of the toughest sports after freestyle and Greco-Roman. 10% is a plan, 90% is real. Mr. Maloney, you're intelligent, all-American, Boston, Massachusetts man. You know it was not planned. I had him on the camel clutch, and you can show that picture. I had him, Mr. Bob Backlund, on the camel clutch. He had two choices. He quit, he gave up, or otherwise I was ready to break his back. Because he cannot go nowhere, Mr. Maloney. I had him on the camel clutch. I hope I can find that picture. I had the Bob Backlund on the camel clutch. Anyway, later, I'll show you later. So, it was not planned, Mr. Maloney. It was not planned. And you're absolutely right. You're a very intelligent man. You're right. I make the Hulk Hogan be in the professional wrestling like Michael Jordan, like Joe Namath, like O.J. Simpson. Because the people in the Boston, Massachusetts, including Mr. Maloney himself, you know, I was a champion before Hulk Hogan. I had the Bob Backlund, Arnold Skolin, throw the towel before I break the Bob Backlund back, and he give up. I come champion. And also, you are right. Hulk Hogan, that Hollywood Brown Jabroni, he was working for Mr. Gagne. Right. That means he rested for Mr. Gagne. No. I'm the Iron Sheik, Khosrow Vaziri, beat Mr. Bob Backlund 6 years, nobody beat him. No, they want to surprise the world. Mr. McMahon Sr. and Jr., intelligent people, number one genius promoter in the world. So they call Hulk Hogan, Khosrow Vaziri, Iranian man, Shah of Iran bodyguard, Ayatollah, his leader, and he's our champion. And if you come into the New York, we're going to make you to be the champion. And instead of Iron Sheik, they're going to want to try to lose my belt to the Hulk Hogan. I said, well, Mr. McMahon, I don't mind because as Bob Backlund wants to lose the belt to Hulk Hogan, and they said if he can beat Bob Backlund, he can come get the belt. That old days, if we didn't lock the wrestler and we didn't lose our belt to the, you know what I mean, you know what I want to say. But I don't want to smart the auto mark. But
well, that's what this is about, Sheik, is to smarten them and lighten them up. Did Backlund, who did he want to drop the belt to? Originally, it was supposed to be Mass Superstar, and from what I remember, legend-wise, Backlund didn't want to lose to the Superstar. He wanted to drop the belt to the Sheik because he thought it would be more respectable. Is that how it went?
You're absolutely right, Mr. Moroni, because Mr. Bob Backlund, like yourself, very intelligent man, a smart man, he said, yeah, professional wrestling is not work. It's 90% is shoot, 10% is entertainment, like Mr. McMahon said it himself. We are entertainment, but not all of it. 10%. So I come back to your question or answer you're asking me. You're 100% right. Bob Backlund, he don't want to lose the belt to Hulk Hogan because he says Hulk Hogan is a guitar player, he's a bodybuilder, he's not good wrestler, good athlete. I prefer to lose the belt to the Khosrow Vaziri, Aaron Sheikh, because Aaron Sheikh is the AAU champion already, gold medal, Olympic, Iran. I don't mind I lose my belt to Aaron Sheikh. Even I don't want he's going to beat me anyway. So I prefer to do job or lose, put the Aaron Sheikh over instead of Jabroni Hulk Hogan.
Right.
So which is, he did a good job. And I have a lot of respect for Mr. Bob Backlund. Mr. Bob Backlund, one of the greatest shooter, condition, endurance, the all-time in the WWF. That's because Mr. McMahon Sr. loved Bob Backlund because Bob Backlund is a good shooter, like Aaron Sheikh, good wrestler. Anyway, I'll come back to your question. So, and then Mr. McMahon wants to bankrupt all the different territory.
Right.
That means the NWA, AWA, because for his cable.
Right.
So, which is I was New York champion, and I was the hottest thing in the New York because with Ayatollah flag and Mr. McMahon called Hogan, yeah, you come to the New York, Aaron Sheikh is the champion, you're going to beat the Aaron Sheikh, you get the belt, and you'll be the biggest star in the World Wrestling Federation, like Michael Jordan, like Muhammad Ali. We make the Hulk Hogan be the biggest star, not Hulk Hogan. If I didn't want to lose my belt to that jabroni Hollywood blonde, he never can beat me. But money talk, money walk, Mr. Maloney. So, and Mr. McMahon was a good man. He take care of me. Like I said, the hand fit me. I cannot cut that hand against my religions. Ya Allah, Ya Muhammad, Ya Ali. So anyway, and Hogan come, and I had a great match with him in the Madison Square Garden, New York. And I lost my belt to Hulk Hogan, and I didn't double cross Mr. McMahon to take the belt to the NWA. AWA for $100,000. It didn't matter. Mr. Garnia wants to give me 100,000 or 100 million. God bless Mr. McMahon Sr. He was the first promoter. Give me a break. He make me to be a millionaire, and I make for his company billion dollar. So, but Hogan come in the locker room, hug me, kiss me, and he said to me, "Shiki baby, I owe you one. I love you. You didn't break my leg, or you didn't take the belt back to Minnesota." That jabroni Hollywood blonde Hulk Hogan, he know himself too, because I tell before I go in the ring, I tell what is the situation. Who called me one night before? Try to break that jabroni leg, take the belt to the Minnesota, because Mr. McMahon Sr. wants to bankrupt all of the different territory, which is he did with this cable, right?
Right.
So, I'll make the longest story short. That jabroni Hollywood blonde Hogan come to the New York, I lost my belt, and he come in the locker room, phony, he hugged me, kissed me, he said, "Shiki baby, I owe you." And after that, he was working for Ted Turner, wrestling the Ted Turner after he left.
Georgia.
I'm sorry?
Down in Georgia?
Exactly, John Georgia. Swear to God, Mr. Maloney, I'm a good religious man. Also, I'm a man. I have a lot of heart. I make the money. Money doesn't make me, Hulk Hogan. You are low life. You are money hungry. You are gold digger. You come in the locker room phony, hug me, kiss me, and you told me, "Shiki baby, I owe you one." And he go back, come to the Georgia, swear to my prophet, Ayatollah Khomeini. I called that jabroni. I asked him, "Hogan, I'm not working. I'm not resting for Mr. McMahon because Hacksaw Jim Duggan and myself, we get caught in the New Jersey Turnpike for my medicine, and I was suspended 2 years, same as Hacksaw. I don't want to talk about my medicine, why I get caught. You tell it later on."
Right,
you
we'll
know
get to
what I'm
that
talking.
point. But to summarize this point with the championship, Vern Gagne called you in 1983 near the end. He found out you were going to get the title from Backlund. He offered you $100,000 to break Hogan's leg and to come to the AWA with the WWF Heavyweight Championship belt. Was that what the offer was?
You're absolutely right, Mr. Maloney. I don't know who told you. You're very intelligent, all Boston, Massachusetts promoter, and pleasure for me to invite me here to ask me some very, very private about my background, which is I don't want to keep it. I don't want to keep a secret from you. I tell you from bottom of heart to you because you are intelligent promoter in the Maloney Wrestling Federation, right?
Correct.
And then you can ask me anything you want. I can tell you true.
Okay.
You're absolutely right, sir. And the reason you're right. And Hogan was in the Georgia. My point was, Mr. Maloney, I call Hogan. I tell him, Baba, I'm not wrestling WWF. Can you call me back? Maybe you can take me to the
WCW?
Exactly. Swear to my prophet Ayatollah Khomeini. Swear to the Allah and Muhammad. And that low-life gold digger jabroni, Hollywood blonde, he didn't return my call back. That's because since that, I never ever call Hogan again, and I never ever again respect that Hollywood blonde jabroni. He remind me like Michael Jackson, another gold digger. Fact, you can trust all America.
Iron Sheik, back to the match itself when you won the championship. Did Backlund know ahead of time that the towel was going to be thrown in, or was that more impromptu? Because from what legend tells us, Backlund was originally told that he was going to get a return match against you in January of '84, and that turned into the match where you wrestled Hogan, and Hogan won the title.
God bless you, Mr. Maloney. You're a very intelligent all-American commentator or a reporter. You ask me like Gene Mean. You ask me that question and stuff. I even forgot myself. I'm so mad at that Jabroni Hogan. You're absolutely right. They're supposed to give me return match. They didn't give me return match. They didn't give me return match even with Hulk Hogan. You're absolutely right. And I was on the air, and they double crossed me. You understand what I
So
said?
you were supposed to get a run with Hogan after you dropped the title to him?
Yes, sir.
So what happened with you after that? You went on, did you begin your feud with Sergeant Slaughter after you dropped the title to Hogan?
Yes, sir, and then not work. I wrestled with the Sergeant Slaughter. After that, we had the best camp with match, as a matter of fact, in the Boston Garden, Massachusetts, Worcester, Portland, Maine. And you're right, I wrestled with the Sergeant Slaughter after that. And then also Nicola and I, we was a tag team,
Right.
wrestling with the All-American boys, Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo.
Barry Windham and Mike Rotundo,
Yes, sir.
right. So right after you dropped the title to Hogan, you were expecting to go all over the country with him in championship matches, and they never wound up taking place.
God bless you, Mr. Maloney. You're a very intelligent all-American reporter. You're right, because the WWF double-crossed me. That's why I said sometimes I cannot trust the American because they promise you everything and then they change it.
Right.
So, different than my country prophet, Ayatollah Khomeini, I respect so many people of the America. I can trust him, not all of them.
Right.
You're right. I didn't get my return match with Hogan. I didn't get a return match with Mr. Bob Backlund. And I was nobody after that. I was lucky, at least Nicola and I become tag team champion with Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham.
You pretty much, Bob Backlund was pretty much phased out at that time. Apparently they wanted him to turn heel and work a program with Hogan, but he declined, and then that was pretty much the end of Bob Backlund in WWF at that time.
Excellent, excellent, sir.
Now you had that big feud with Sergeant Slaughter, another proud patriot taking on the villain Iranian, and that led to the boot camp match, June 16th, 1984, world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden, a match people still talk about and remember to this day. What are your thoughts on that?
God bless you, Mr. Maloney. You watched yourself that match?
I was a little bit before my time. I was kind of young then. I've seen it on tape, though.
Oh, you saw it on
Yes.
the tape, but that day you was young, right?
Yes.
Okay, but I respect your opinion. You know, later on you get older and younger and intelligent. You know that was one of the best match of the WWF history. We broke the record for Mr. McMahon with that match, go in the cable, and it was an excellent, excellent match. They called Camp with match. You're absolutely right, sir. That was the best match.
What was it like feuding with Sergeant Slaughter? What was he like in the ring and behind the scenes?
Sergeant Slaughter, legendary from Minnesota. Sergeant Slaughter, the 1973 Ric Flair, myself, Campechera, Tim Brazil, Gregonia, we started before Soldier. Soldier used to come watch us, how we training. Sergeant Slaughter from Minnesota, very, very intelligent man, very smart man, and he learned professional wrestling very, very fast. Soldier didn't compete Olympic, didn't compete AAU, but Soldier was a natural All-America with that big jaws he had. But the Soldier, great performer, great ring psychology, great business psychology. Soldier Slaughter was the master of the ring psychology. Soldier Slaughter, he don't have a gold medal like Kurt Angle or Aaron Sheik, but Soldier Slaughter was a natural, tough, big man, and he was an excellent general in the ring. And I had a great match with the Soldier, and Soldier was believable. He was a natural All-American Marine man, and I was a natural Iranian Shah of Iran bodyguard, Iranian army, Ayatollah, my leader. And Soldier was the best ring psychology, and I had a great match with the Soldier.
Since you were in the WWF at the same time as Sergeant Slaughter, is it true the reason he left for the first time back in 1984 was because he was trying to unionize professional wrestlers, and the McMahon family found out about it and kind of gave him the boot?
Absolutely, like I said, Soldier is maybe not shooter Olympic gold medal like Aaron Sheik or Kurt Angle, but Soldier is a master of the mind. He's a genius. He's a good business psychology man, very intelligent man. Soldier Slaughter remind me another good friend of mine, Jesse the Body Ventura. Jesse the Body Ventura, he was a medicine man. He was a good friend of mine. The last medicine he had with me, as a matter of fact, it was in California. He was my roommate, and we had a medicine together. And after that heart problem, he didn't make it, and he left. So, a Soldier, and remind me, Jesse the Body Ventura, just his mind, and not just the body 20, but also his spirit was Billy Graham. He wants to have a 20 arm, you know. Right. But like I said, 2 Minnesota people, 3 Minnesota people, they impressed me very much. Mr. Bob Backlund, Sergeant Slaughter, and Jesse the Body Ventura. They are excellent ring psychology, business psychology. That's because they made it to be top millionaire in the WWF.
What was the reaction in the locker room at the time? What did the boys think about the idea of unionizing and actually having health benefits, retirement benefits, so on and so forth?
I wish we get it, but as much as soon you're smart, Mr. Maloney, Mr. McMahon found out that Soldier Slaughter, and he left, right?
That was
absolutely,
Slaughter,
because
right.
You're right, Soldier was right. It's good to we had some back, you know, we get old,
right.
some kind of benefit, right?
Right, exactly.
So Soldier was a, God bless him, good man, good idea, but the Caesar of the Rome was Mr. McMahon, not Soldier. You know what I mean?
So he put a stop to it before it ever got off the ground, in other words.
Of course, sir.
After Sergeant Slaughter left, like you said, you and Nikolai Volkov became a villainous tag team, managed by Fred Blassie. How did you adjust from working in the singles ranks up top to the tag teams?
Mr. Morani, I'll be honest with you, it was a pleasure for me to Nicola come my partner, and Nicola, believable, big man, and a strong Russian, speak the language, and it was a great partner I had, and we come the champion, tag team. It was great, and I had a lot of, Soldier, good friend of mine. We've been together all over the world, coast to coast, your country. But one thing I didn't care about Soldier, one thing I didn't care about Nicola to come my partner. He's my partner. Nicola, great man, good man, no gimmick man, no medicine man. Only that you only take his fork and a spoon in the room, plug his thing to cook in the room. They have a special gimmick. He fixes eggs, breakfast, with some kind of small little machine. Because Nicola, he loved the money. He wants to save money. He don't go eat breakfast in the restaurant, no eat in the lunch in the restaurant, no supper. But he never cheat his body. He get the food, the steak, eggs, come in the room in the hotel, he plug his gimmick, and he cook in the room with that little gimmick, what do you call it? Something like George Foreman.
Grill?
Yeah.
Okay.
He took it that grill with him all over everywhere we go.
He carried a grill with him all over the country?
Everywhere we go. And he plug it in the room, free electric, And then he go in the Kmart or Kroger, wherever, get his eggs, a steak, and banana, orange, apple. Because if we have to spend money to go in the restaurant, cost him maybe $100 a day. But Nicolas, smart man and Jewish intelligent man, just save the money. And he come in the room and grill George Foreman, the gimmick.
The grill, yeah.
You said it. What is it?
Grill.
Griller. And he polite, he fixed the dinner, wake me up, good breakfast, good lunch. Nice man. But the only thing I didn't like about Nicola, the last time I booked the Nicola to the Las Vegas, Nevada, that low-life jabroni broke my heart. After many, many years, I take the Nicola in the ring. I was babysitting the Nicola, and I make the Nicola to be the tag team champion. And that jabroni, he is another like low life like the Hulk Hogan, break my heart in the Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Maloney. I booked the Nicola to the Las Vegas, Nevada for 700, 2 hours. Autograph section, 2 hours, 700. I book him with my country people, Persian people, this is rocks, that the convention in the Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, it was the last year. After 29 years I'm with Nicola, and that jabroni broke my heart because the bull chairman took me to buy gate. I asked Nicola, can you give the bull chairman $2? I don't have a change with me. All is $100 bill I have. Swear to God, that jabroni Nicola, worse than Hulk Hogan. He's another gold digger. And that Jew jabroni, he didn't give the bull chairman $2. And that way Nicola get hit with me. And I never respected Nicola after that because I'm the man. I make the money. Money doesn't make me. Money gonna be here, Nicola. You and that faggot, Hulk Hogan, you gonna be gone for a million years. And Hulk Hogan, after I dropped my belt to that jabroni, and he promised me he gonna call me that low-life gold digger faggot. He didn't call me, and he broke my heart Islamic way. And also you, Nicola. I booked you 700, 2 hours with my countryman, Mr. Mahdavi, in the Las Vegas, Nevada, the most famous casino in the world. And you didn't give the bull chairman $2 because all my money was $100 bills.
But what if Volkov only had hundreds?
No, he didn't have 100, Mr. Maloney.
Now
you want to tell me you're Nicola's size?
I'm not on anyone's side. Maybe he didn't have any singles.
But I saw it.
Oh, you
before
saw it? Okay.
We was together that night. He again bring his
grill?
George Foreman gimmick, what do you call it?
The grill.
Yeah, and he plugged it. We had a breakfast, and I saw his money. We was room together.
Oh, so he had
yes,
singles.
sir.
Okay.
And Nicola, you are worse than Hulk Hogan. You are son of a bitch. You are gold digger. You are Jew jabroni. Russia. Since that, I never respected Nicola.
Nikolai Volkov, unbelievable, over $2.
$2 for $2, Nicola. Oh, I'm mad at you. I want to break your jaws. For $2, 29 years, I take care of you in the ring. I babysit you in the hotel. I take you around. Now for $2, you don't give it to the bull chairman. You break my heart, Nicola. 10 times worse than that Hollywood blonde gold digger faggot Hulk Hogan. You and Hulk Hogan should have lived together, married together like two fags, like Michael Jackson or another baby. You deserve it, Nicola. I talk to you like that.
Iron Sheik, let's talk about one of the biggest days in the history of professional wrestling. March 31st, 1985. Legend has it that Vince McMahon had everything on the line that day. He had Mr. T coming in. He had Cyndi Lauper coming in. Of course, we're talking about WrestleMania 1 at Madison Square Garden. You were on the show. Obviously, it was you and Nikolai defeating Mike Rotundo and Barry Windham for the Tag Team Championships. What was the atmosphere like going into the big event, WrestleMania 1?
That was the biggest pleasure, Mr. Maloney. I'm sorry, I'm mad about that Nicola you mentioned his name. Please, don't mention any more Nicola name and that Hollywood blonde jabroni Hulk Hogan name. There are none of them no good men, son of a bitch. So anyway, what did you ask me, sir? I'm a little bit get excited.
What was the atmosphere like going into WrestleMania 1? since it was such a big day, there was so much on the line for the company. It was just before Saturday Night Main Event began on NBC. Apparently, from what legend has it, Vince McMahon had everything riding on the line. If WrestleMania 1 was not a success on the closed circuit venues all over the country, and not a success at the event itself, that the company might have been done with.
That was a great feeling. I'm glad you mentioned that, Mr. Milani. You're right. Mr. T was involved that match. Roddy Piper and Mr. Another gay man, very popular man. God bless you, Pastor. Huh?
Liberace?
Exactly, Ray Liberace. That was a great atmosphere, beautiful feeling to be part of that ceremony or that tournament. And it was great. That was Madison Square Garden, as a matter of fact. Yes, sir. And Nicola and I was a tag team champion.
You won the championship.
Yes, sir. We beat the All-American born USA, Magrotondo and Barry Wendell.
Correct.
Right? Yes, sir. So it was a great feeling.
Were a lot of the guys nervous knowing that so much was on the line with one event?
Exactly. A lot of them was nervous.
They were nervous?
Because that was the first time movie star get involved with a professional star.
Right.
That was a great, that was beautiful atmosphere.
Right. Now, speaking of WrestleMania 1, obviously we know now it was a big success. There's been 20 of them 20 years later. One of the stars from that event, Wendy Richter, stated in an interview recently, she said that at that time period you made a pass at her in advance. She turned you down, and Wendy Richter claimed that you went around and said she was a lesbian afterwards. Is there any validity to that story, or?
Well, as a matter of fact, I get Mr. Mirani loan. I get loan with the Wendy Victor, but I get hit with the Moolah.
Moolah.
Yes, sir. Wendy Victor wrestling with the Moolah. Moolah beat up the Wendy Victor very bad. Right. Wendy Victor, medicine girl.
Wendy Richter was a medicine girl?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime after match, come into my room, and with another friend of mine, God bless him, he was a medicine man, Dr.
D. David Schultz?
God bless you. Beautiful. Good memory. Dr. David Schultz, good friend of mine, because he was a redneck. He don't want to go in the bar, beat up the people like Bob Orton or drink. But they come in my room, and we had a medicine, A to the Z. I don't want to mention, you know what I mean? Right. But you know what is my medicine anyway. So anyway, I'll make the longest story short. Wendy Victor and Dr. David Schultz come into my room, and we use the medicine. And Wendy Victor told me, Sheikh, Moolah tonight in the ring beat me up pretty bad. Vicious, pull her hair, kick her. A lot of potato. That means. Huh?
She potatoed her?
Right. You know what is that
right.
Potato, right, sir? So Moolah gave her a lot of potato. And Wendy Victor cried. I said, okay, one day I'll get even with her. And I'm gonna be very bad, and I'm gonna get even with that Moolah, that jabroni. You know what I mean? Right. Moolah was a no good son of a bitch. So, as a matter of fact, what's go wrong, come back wrong. God wants to be like that. Wendy Victor and I get along. I like Wendy like me because she's a medicine girl.
Right.
We medicine, we get along.
Right.
But the Moolah is not medicine woman. Moolah is like teacher.
She was a teacher for all the women down in the Carolinas.
Excellent. So anyway, I'll make the longest story short, Mr. Mulani. Next, they were supposed to wrestling. For example, we was Boston Garden. Now we have to go Providence, Rhode Island, and Moolah was stuck. Moolah was stuck, same as Wendy Victor. They didn't have a car. Yeah. Who was driving the car? My another good medicine friend, Greg the Hammer.
Oh, yes, Greg the Hammer.
Right, he's a medicine man.
He's a medicine man.
Yeah, exactly. He matched me. And Greg and I, we had a rent car. Greg was driving, Mr. Maloney. I was a passenger, and Moolah backseat, and Wendy Victor backseat. So, but we give the Moolah a favor. We take him to the Providence, Rhode Island, so she don't miss the show. Right. So, and then after maybe we pass the bridge, the bridge,
bridge?
In the Boston,
right.
We go bridge to go Providence, Rhode Island.
Yep. So, Sheik, you said you, Greg Valentine, Moolah, and Wendy Richter were driving down to the Providence Civic Center from Boston. What happened on that car ride?
Oh, excellent. You reminded me, Mr. Maloney. I'm glad you mentioned that. I was ready to forget about it. So anyway, I get hit with the mullah, fabulous mullah, because the Hammer was driving, and I was a passenger, and Hammer started to do the medicine, and he passed the medicine to me, and I passed the medicine to win the victor. So we all three, we did the medicine, and after that, and mullah said, Sheikh, I don't like that shit in the car. I said, what do you mean shit? This is my medicine, whole country, we don't have a doctor, and Mother Nature, herb, and it's my medicine. Right. Greg like it, I like it, Wendy like it, you don't like it? Okay, Greg, stop the car. Greg the Hammer stopped the car. I said, okay, mullah, you don't like my medicine? Get the fuck out of car, you dumb old douchebag. And then I get hit since that. You know what I mean?
So did you strand the fabulous mullah?
Yeah.
Where did you leave her?
So I tell him, you don't like my medicine? You don't like the Greg the Hammer medicine, Win the Victor, because she already get hit. Last night beat up the Win the Victor anyway. Window come into my room, she cry. So God wants to get even with her. So I said, okay, Greg, mullah doesn't like our medicine. Stop the car. So Greg stopped the car. I said, okay, you don't like them because we give the mullah favor doesn't miss the show to we go Providence.
Right.
And no, that's our rent car is Greg the Hammer pay and I pay. And we just take her ferry so she doesn't miss the show, right? But she don't tell the two legends, Greg the Hammer and Orange Sheik, I cannot do my medicine in my own car. So I tell her, okay, you don't like my medicine? Greg, please, stop the car side shoulder. So Greg stopped the car. I said, okay, you old douchebag, Mrs. Mullah, whatever your fucking name is, get the fuck out of the car. And she get out of her car, and then she hitchhiked to make the Providence. So and after that, she don't like me. And she tell Mr. McMahon too. But I don't care. Mullah is no good son of a bitch. If she wants to be bad, she's no good because she beat up the Wendy Victor. That's because I tell her, get out of the car.
Was that story that Wendy Richter told true? Did you try and make a pass at her and she declined you?
What do you mean?
Well, Wendy Richter said in a recent interview on the radio that she said the Iron Sheik made a pass at her, to try to have a little comfort one night.
What do you mean comfort? That was sex?
Exactly. And then she said no, and then you went around and told everyone she was a lesbian. Is that true?
That's true. That's true. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm like Muhammad Ali, too many years punched sometimes. I can't think good. I'm glad you're intelligent reporter, Mr. Milani. You're right. I tell you, since my wife double-crossed me, she stole my $18,000 from WWF. And I didn't care about my own wife, but she double-crossed me, break my heart, worse than Nicola and Hulk Hogan. And I want to have a sex with him in the Victor, and I want to say, yeah, I'd like to come have a good time, use my medicine, maybe we can have a little bit sex. I'm a man, I'm not that.
You were on the road all year,
God bless you,
I
Mr.
understand.
Melania. I'm not Michael Jackson.
Right.
I like woman, nothing wrong with that, right?
Right.
So, and I asked Wendy Victor, maybe you and I, we can have a good time tonight a little bit. I need to massage you, massage me, have a sex. She said, no, Sheik. And then she get hit with me.
Right.
She used my beer, she used my medicine. I take her around. Now I want to get a little bit massage, a little bit sex. And she told me no. She broke my heart too. So I tell her, okay, no problem. Are you lesbian? She said, no, I'm not lesbian. I don't want to have a sex. I said, what do you mean you don't want to have a sex? I babysit you every night. I take you around. I give you my medicine. I give you my beer. Now I want a little bit massage. My shoulder is bothering me. My neck is bothering me. Knee bothering me. Can you massage me? Have a sex with me? She said, no. I said, okay, you have to be lesbian. And otherwise, what is wrong with me? You don't like me? You don't have a sex with a man? Oh, who are you? Are you like that lady, very famous movie star, Rosie
O'Donnell?
Huh?
Rosie O'Donnell?
Excellent. You are very intelligent, Mr. Milani. She's remind me, Rosie, what was her name?
O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell. good-looking woman, very pretty woman, or another beautiful woman. What is her name? Ellen DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres?
Ellen DeGeneres. I tell her, are you the Ellen DeGeneres?
Ellen.
Or Rosie? What do you call it?
O'Donnell?
Are you Rosie O'Donnell? Are you lesbian? She said, no, Sheikh, don't talk to me like that. I'm not lesbian. Well, I said, if you're not lesbian, why you don't want to have sex with me? Anything wrong with me? I'm the most handsome, good-looking man in the world, and you don't want to have sex with me? You are another lesbian like Rosie
O'Donnell.
Rosie O'Donnell, or Ellen DeGeneres, or Michael Jackson? What is wrong with you? So, and then I get hit with her too. You're right.
Iron Sheik, tremendous. WrestleMania 2, this time it emanated from 3 different arenas. You were in Chicago, Illinois. You were part of the 20-man over-the-top rope battle royal, which also featured NFL superstars and WWF superstars, such as the Hart Foundation, Bruno Sammartino, and the man who won the battle royal, Andre the Giant. What are your memories of WrestleMania 2?
What do you mean WrestleMania number 2? Was it Pontiac, Michigan, or Chicago?
No, that was Chicago when you were in the battle royal.
I'm glad you mentioned that. We had a great football player like a
refrigerator.
Yes, and another one from Georgia, man, Bill Frederick.
Bill Fralick, right?
Yes, sir. You're very intelligent, Mr. Maloney, and I want to show the football player the wrestling is an individual, one-on-one. It's not football, team sport. Don't get me wrong. I respect O.J. Simpson. I respect Jim Brown. Or I have a lot of respect for football player Terry Bradshaw. But Terry Bradshaw, Jim Brown, or O.J. Simpson, if they come in the ring or they come in the wrestling match, you know, I'm the individual Olympic gold medal. They are team sport. Right. Michael Jordan, Joe Namath, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's team sport. So my point is, Mr. Maloney, the football player never can be the wrestler. And I want to show the football player to the respect the professional wrestler. I take him in the ring before we smart him. I tell Bill Frederick, come over here, show me what can you do. And he was 270 pounds and 6 foot 6 inch, and young man. He cannot take me down. He cannot pen me, and he can do nothing. Same as that big brother
refrigerator.
Yes. So I challenge with both of them to the respect of sport professional wrestling. They can do nothing with me up position and down position, and I show them respect for the professional wrestler. Or wrestling is the #1 toughest sport in the world, and since that, they respect our sport.
Were the football players in that battle royal, were they easy to get along with, or do you think they were out to try and show you that they could do it?
That's what I said.
Right.
I have to show him respect for us. I'm a wrestler, you're a football player. I'm an individual, you're a team sport. You cannot beat me, and they get the message, and after that, it was easy.
Right.
And then they smarted him slowly, but we didn't tell him everything about our secret, just enough to the one night by the royal, and then they can go. That was only good for one payoff, but we don't want to smart him too much about our secret, our sport. And I want to show him they have to respect the wrestler. Right. Wrestler is the #1 sport in the Olympics, the wrestling, not the football, not the basketball. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that way, always the respect orange.
So basically, back in 1986, the business wasn't as exposed
God
as it is now.
God bless you, Mr. Maloney. You said it perfect there. God bless you.
Fast forward 1 year to 1987, WrestleMania 3, the Pontiac Silverdome, Pontiac, Michigan. Over 93,000 fans. You teamed up with Nikolai Volkov to take on the Killer Bees, and that's where your feud began with Hacksaw Jim Duggan when he interfered at the end of that match. What was it like to be in that massive crowd?
You asked me excellent question. The great feeling all time I had all my life, Mr. Dan Maloney, it was that night, Pontiac, Michigan, Silverdome.
Correct.
Michigan.
Silverdome, Pontiac,
yes,
Michigan.
Sir. And that was a great honor, great feeling to wrestling next to 93,000 people, no any musician, no any football player, no any sport event in your country sold out Madison
Right.
Square Garden. I mean, Pontiac,
Pontiac,
Michigan,
right.
ex-Ab wrestler. It was a great feeling, Don Maloney, try wrestling with Jim Brunzeller and that jabroni, Brian Blair.
Brian Blair, right.
Brian Blair, you are another faggot son of a bitch, no good, low life. So I want to let you know, you are punk, you are fag, you are punk, little gay, worse than Michael Jackson. It was great feeling. I have a lot of respect for them. His partner, Jim Brunzeller from Minnesota, great athlete, great high jumper, but that little punk, Brian Blair, another little fag, worse than Michael Jackson. And I didn't like him. I didn't like his attitude. He was a punk. I can break his fucking back. Break his back, make him humble, and then fuck his ass. I didn't do it in the Pontiac, Michigan, because respect my sport and respect Mr. McMahon.
You were a professional.
A professional. Otherwise, was ready to do it to him all country way, make him humble, suplex him, put him in a camel clutch, break his back, and then fuck his ass, make him humble to respect the Orange League. And I didn't do it because for the God and Jesus and Mr. McMahon. Brian Blair, you are no good. You are worse than Michael Jackson. I'll never respect you again. And then he was lucky to the big man, American 2x4 hacksaw.
Duggan.
You was lucky, punk. I didn't break your back to fuck your ass, make you humble. And he was lucky hacksaw Jim Duggan come save him, and I didn't break his back. You know what I'm talking
Right.
about? Because I'm a shooter, man. You're a punk. I respect your partner, Jim Brunzeller. I never respect the gay. I never respect the fag. You are worse than Hulk Hogan. And you're lucky I didn't break your back and Hacksaw come save you. And that was a great feeling to wrestling 93,000 people, and you was so lucky to the Hacksaw come save you before I break your back and I do all country way to make you humble. And besides that, everything was great.
Soon after that, you began a big feud with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, another American patriot taking on the Iranian. But then on May 26, 1987, a little bit more of professional wrestling was exposed to the mainstream media when you and Jim Duggan were busted in New Jersey. Now, the police report said that Hacksaw Jim Duggan was charged with possession of pot and drinking alcohol while driving, and you were charged with possession of pot and cocaine. Jim Duggan received a conditional charge, and you got 1 year probation. Now, what do you think the reaction was in professional wrestling in general that quote-unquote kayfabe was broken when two men feuding on national television were caught together in a car? Not only caught together, but with the drugs and alcohol.
Well, Mr. Don Maloney, you're an all-intelligent reporter, sir. I don't talk about very private stuff to nobody except you. I cannot lie to you. You're too smart. Plus, I'm a good man. I'm a religious man. And religious men and good men never lie. You're 100% right, sir. I was a passenger. Hacksaw was a driver, and he was not fast. But New Jersey law, you cannot drink and drive.
Right.
And they stopped him. They didn't recognize him as Hacksaw Jim Duggan. And they recognized me, Iron Sheik. What are you doing? I said, sir, we tried to make the show. And then we had a cup of cold beer. And officer asked Hacksaw, what do you have besides beer? And we left the 3 roaches on the archery. And they find 3 roaches, marijuana roaches in the archery. And then they tell us we are on rest. They hook up a Hacksaw. They take us to the police department. They went through to our bag. They found 2 8-ball of coke and a half ounce of marijuana, whatever. And then we make the whole news. And then I go back same night. We was lucky. Hacksaw's father is in Glen Falls, New York, chief of the police department. I was lucky Hacksaw's father called that Middletown, New Jersey.
Right.
That was Middletown. Very small town, 20 miles before we get to the Asbury Park. And it was sold out. And I supposed to wrestling that night with the Hacksaw. And all days, you're right, we was capable with everybody. We
Right.
didn't smart nobody about our business. So, but I was in the highway, George Animal and Pedro Morales, they come passing us. They saw me. I'm talking to some sheriff. The highway was closed. And I said, yeah, Haxa was driving. I was a passenger. They took us to the police department. Haxa father called and we make the show. Please don't tell Mr. McMahon. He said, oh, Sheikh, don't worry about it. I'm not going to tell him. And then we had resting that night and was sold out. And we still the show, Haxa and I. And then next day, it was a Good Morning America and USA newspaper. And then lunchtime was on television. And finally, Mr. McMahon found out. And after that, next day, we didn't make another show. When we go back home, we were suspended. I was suspended for 2 years, cost me to lose $1 million. But I was lucky. God closed one door, I always open another door. So I was lucky. I was suspended 2 years. I lost maybe $500,000 each year. I was middle of the program, and business was good. Our average was $10,000 to $15,000 a week, and then middle of the program, and I get fired. 2 years suspended. I actually get fired. 2 years, but we didn't go no jail or anything.
Right.
You're right. We make the world news, and then I was lucky. God helped me, and Mr. Ted Turner invited me to his WCW, and a couple $100,000 a year on the contract. I was happy, but you're right. Haxa was driving. I was a passenger, and we get caught. But old days, we respect our sport. We was kayfabe about our business. We didn't even, Mr. Garnier didn't even smart his wife. And we was all of a kayfabe.
Right.
Different than today, to Mr. McMahon said, we are entertainment.
Right.
You know what I mean?
What was Vince McMahon's reaction when he found out that two of his stars that were feuding at the time on television were caught together driving with the drugs and the alcohol?
You're absolutely right, Mr. Dan Maloney. Mr. McMahon Jr. said, tell me, Shiki Baba, I have a lot of respect for you. I never thought Olympic gold medal could to get involved with the medicine. I said, Vince, I'm sorry. I just want to be sociable with the boys, make the long trip short. And I don't say I don't do the medicine. I do it, but I have a moderation.
Right.
And he said, yeah, your Arabic moderation is 24 hours without a stop. I said, well, you know, I mean, we are on the road, try to make the long trip short. I like to have a little bit cup of cold beer, a little bit medicine. Anyway, Mr. McMahon said, Sheikh, I cannot afford to lose the talent like you have.
Right.
You make my company billion dollar. Please be careful.
Right.
Don't do it. And God bless Mr. McMahon Jr. and Mrs. McMahon, Linda McMahon. They sent me to the rehab in the Georgia. I was 1 month over there in rehab, and they pay $15,000, $32. I get sober over there. My bad medicine. No more bad medicine. Once were just only green medicine, Mother Nature herb.
Absolutely. Now, over the course of the year, apparently, is what we have here, you went from the WWF, you went back to WWC in Puerto Rico. You had a run in World Class again down in Texas with Matt Bourne in late 1987. How did you find life now that you were out of the WWF, off of that insane schedule that everyone in the WWF had when they were flying from coast to coast 7 days a week? How did it feel going back into different territories other than New York?
Well, like I said, Mr. Maloney, all this was good. At least you know you don't have a job this territory. At least always is another territory open. Like you said, we had many territories that days. Oregon and Canada, Don Owen, I mean, Jim Kreski, and then Texas, Von Erich, and also Charlotte, Detroit. So one thing was good, Mr. Maloney, about old days. At least we know we had a job. If I lose the job, for example, in the biggest #1 federation in the world, WWF, at least I got different territory. Something better than nothing. One thing was about good old days. We had a lot of territory, and everybody make money. Everybody was happy. No step back, no jealousy. All the boys had a good time in the locker room, and everybody make money from first match to the last match because we had a lot of territory. But now it's different situation.
Was the schedule as grueling and as bad as everyone has said it has been back in the mid-'80s when it was every day, 7 days a week? There were shows all over the country. They weren't even grouped together in certain areas. You just fly from Dallas to Los Angeles to Boston to Seattle. Was it that bad?
I mean, you're talking about the World Wrestling Federation?
Right, the travel schedule for it.
Well, like I said, I was young. I loved my sport, professional wrestling. I was a tiger. I was hungry, and I make $10,000 to $15,000 a week. I didn't mind to be on the road for 6 to 7, sometimes 12 weeks without day off. Wow. Nicola and I was on the road, but like I said, I enjoy it. I love. I missed it. I missed that days. And I was very happy, and money was good, and we traveled all over the world, coast to coast, 10 times around the world. I enjoy it, and I miss that old days because, you know, Mr. Maloney, wrestler travel more than football player, right. Basketball player. We are on the road most of my life, and we had only 2 weeks off in the Christmas. Right. The rest all year round. Wrestling sport is all year round, and I was on the road, coast to coast, country, all over the world. I had a great time, same time make money, and I was the best for my job, and I really missed my job, but also I'm happy. Right. I had A to the Z. I saw the world 10 times, and Mr. McMahon was the first promoter. Give me my break, God bless him. I come the most famous arena in your country, Madison Square Garden, Boston Garden, many-time champion. And I born all country, Iran, but I married America.
Now, our records show that about a year after you had the incident with Jim Duggan on the highway in New Jersey, you made a brief return to the WWF where you were challenging Macho Man Randy Savage when he was the heavyweight champion. But that was kind of a short run. You just seemed to vanish from the WWF scene shortly after that return. What happened at that point?
Well, I'll be honest with you, and you're right, and it was just short term. Plus, I didn't pass the medicine test again.
Oh, you failed another medicine test?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, we was Boston Garden, and God bless him, Dino Bravo from Canada, Dino Bravo.
Yep, Dino Bravo.
Dino Bravo, Bob Orton, and Hawaiian friend I had, Don Morocco.
Don Morocco.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, it was Boston, and we was in that Hilton Hotel close to the airport. Mm-hmm. We used the boys to stay. You know,
the Hilton, right.
Right. And they come into my room, Bob Orton, Don Morocco, Dino Bravo, God bless him. And we had medicine A to the Z that night. Mm-hmm. And then after we left Boston to go Providence, Rhode Island next day, and King Horror Race, they take me over there, and he drive me. And King asked me, Sheik, last night in your room, you had a party. Who was in your room? I said, if I tell you, you're not going to tell Vince? He said, no. I said, well, Don Morocco was in my room, Dino Bravo, and then Bob Orton, Greg the Hammer, all the medicine men. We had a party, a few drink, right. And then he asked me, you had any strong medicine? Mm-hmm. I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, don't worry about it. In case we have a peace test again in the Providence today, and you let me know, and I do it for you in the cup, and we switch the cup. But Vince McMahon, very smart man, and he sent the Nick Bockwinkel in the bedroom to watch me. I do the urine test, so I cannot change, get the King Horror Race piece or urine, try switch it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because that jabroni Tony Gurria, he was agents, and Nick Bockwinkel, both of them watching me. I cannot switch the cup. You know what I'm talking about,
exactly.
right? So, and I get busted again, and they take my urine test. They test it. I didn't. Mr. McMahon come tell me, Sheik, it was a positive. I said, so I noticed I'm killing. I'm good. He said, no, Sheik, it was a positive. I said, I thought positive, that means it's good. He said, no, positive, that means bad. I said, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know, because my English was no good. And he said, Sheikh, I have to talk to you. After a urine test in the Providence, and you was a positive. I said, oh, thank you, Mr. McMahon. I know I'm kidding, I'm good. He said, no, positive, that means bad.
Right.
Negative, I thought it was a negative bad. I said, no, positive, that means you're not killing. Right, Baba?
Right.
So I said, well, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought positive, that means good. I know I'm a good man, killing man. He said, no, it was positive. Positive, that means you was dirty. That means mixed with you know what I mean, with the coke.
Right.
So, and then they sent me back again another month.
Rehab again.
Rehab. And by third time, I get better. Thank you, God. Thank you, Vince. No, I'm okay.
So from that point, you went back to the AWA for a brief run. Right before, just when it was on its last legs, I remember you interfering with that Super Clash pay-per-view with Sergeant Slaughter. You went back to the Crockett's for the NWA. You had a match at Wrestle War '89 with Sting. What was that match like with Sting?
Well, I'm glad you remind me, Mr. Don Maloney. And Sting was a hell of an athlete, good wrestler, and a good friend of mine from Minnesota, a smart in California, Red Bastien. But Sting, good athlete. Luger, good athlete. But Sting, he cannot do the Orange Sheik Club, and the same as his partner Luger. But Sting is a good performer, good professional, good athlete, like my student Ricky Steamboat. And I had a good time, I had a good match with them, but different class than most famous arena in the world, Madison Square Garden, New York.
You would compare the WWF as higher up than the NWA was at that time?
Number one in the world was World Wrestling Federation, WWF, and I was a champion. I make 1 year, $500,000. So the first check I get from the Orange Sheik doll, God bless you, Mr. McMahon Sr. First check I get was a $73,000 only for my doll. Second check was a $45,000 for my doll, only 1 year. With my doll and wrestling 1 year, $500,000 was a lot of money. Wow. Yes, sir. God bless Mr. McMahon. And I had my round, and I make my money. But I paid for my due. Not Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan, you do the dumbbell. Dumbbell doesn't fight, man. I'm the fighter. Your dumbbell bodybuilding doesn't mean nothing to me. You come to the national television, you tell the all American kids, do your prayer, take your vitamin, and go training. But you know, and I know, you do your gimmick with testosterone, DACA, Danabol, and across the mirror, same hotel, same room I am, and you come tell the all-American kids, do your prayer, and go training, and believe to God, you're not good, man, because you do yourself. How can you teach the all-American boy who doesn't do it? Right. That way I never respect the Hulk Hogan.
Now let's talk about what some would consider to be a huge shocker. 1991, the main event at WrestleMania 7 was Hulk Hogan against Sergeant Slaughter, managed by General Adnan. And shortly after that, you returned not as the Iron Sheik, but as Colonel Mustafa. What led to that?
Absolutely. You are have an excellent point and an excellent question to ask me. That was Mr. McMahon Senior idea, or Junior, both of them, to we turned a soldier from babyface to heel, that means bad guy. And soldier, great performer, match was perfect, General Adnan, Colonel Mustafa, and Soldier Slaughter. We together with that Middle East situation, Iraqi situation, and one more time again, we get hot. It was good. It was a great feeling. And what the idea was, maybe Vince, maybe Pat Patterson. It was a good angle, good idea.
So what was it like being back in the national spotlight again? You were feuding with Hacksaw Jim Duggan over the summer of '91, Hulk Hogan again. What was it like to be back on top in the WWF in the early '90s?
I'm sorry.
What was it like to be back in the main spotlight again after being away from it for a while?
Great feeling, the best, like I said. I born in Iran, but I made it to country America, and great feeling, especially Madison Square Garden or Boston Garden, and coast to coast, all over the world 10 times. Border to border, coast to coast, great feeling, and God bless Mr. McMahon Senior and Junior, and I never cannot forget Senior and Junior. There was a great company for me, great break for me, and the World Wrestling Federation is always my heart, and it's #1 federation in the world.
You love to talk about Madison Square Garden. SummerSlam 1991 took place in Madison Square Garden. You were in the main event. It was you, Sergeant Slaughter, and General Adnan taking on Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior in a handicap match with Sid Justice as the guest referee. What were your thoughts on that match?
As a matter of fact, it was a great feeling, and like you said, it was beautiful. One more time again, you're right there. I have a Hulk Hogan on the camel clutch, and with a special referee, Sasavicius, and it was an excellent match. We sold out the Madison Square Garden. That was a great feeling. So I come back again one more time with the quarter Mustafa, General Adnan, and Soldier against Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and
It was a handicap match.
handicap, right? Exactly. It was sold out. Good feeling. Like I said, they don't sold out the garden again like the old days. No, it's different situation, but still, I cannot knock down World Wrestling Federation. To me, it always was the #1, and it still is my heart. And like I said, the hand fit me. I cannot cut it or bite that hand.
And we know your feelings about Hulk Hogan on top. You weren't a big fan of Hulk Hogan personally. What did you think of the Ultimate Warrior at the time as another one of the top baby faces?
Well, you're right. Another top babyface, great performer. But I like Ultimate Warrior, and Ultimate Warrior a lot of respect for me. He was a Georgia. He was a Mr. Georgia. And at the same time, Ole Anderson and Gene Anderson, they send me to the contest. He come #1, but he cannot do the Orange Club. And we film it. And also, he lost the fence. Since they found out Ultimate Warrior, he's another fag, another gay, another lesbian. He lost the face and he left. And plus, he gave Mr. McMahon too much a headache. He wants limousine, he wants private locker room, he wants that, he wants that. And the guy is another gay fag like Michael Jackson or Alan DeGeneres.
Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah. So he lost the fist and he left.
Right, that summer in one of the tabloid newspapers, there was a headline story that the Ultimate Warrior was a male prostitute in Georgia.
You're very intelligent. I didn't know you know about that too. So you heard about it,
I heard it. I remember it. I was in middle school.
God bless you, Mr. Dameron. You are very intelligent, all reporter in America. For me, I can sit here all day long, all night, talk to you because I enjoy the conversation with you, sir.
Now let's talk about something else that was huge to the wrestling industry in 1991. Not in the ring, but outside of the ring. There was the George Zahorian steroid trial. George Zahorian was accused of being the distributor of steroids and other kind of drugs to the wrestlers in the locker rooms in Pennsylvania. A lot of the wrestlers were implicated in that trial. Tell us your thoughts on that. You were behind the scenes.
Well, hell, I was surprised to even you, Mr. Maloney, about that. You're 100% right, sir. We make our television tape in every 3 weeks, Allentown and Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And Dr. Zahari, all the time we go over there, he come in the locker room to the, what do you call it, get a blood pressure test.
Yeah, blood pressure, right.
Right. And also, under the table, he said to the boys, Tony Atlas, Hogan, all the big gimmick men, Testosterone, Dakar, Dalawa. You're right. And I saw it all the time he do that. But I born old country, we don't have Dakar over there. We don't have testosterone. I prefer to use natural apple, natural orange, a stick and eggs, and training or work out. That way I last longer than I use testosterone, Dakar. You know, for short period is okay, not for long period. And I'll tell all American athletes, all American wrestler, high school kids, and football player, and basketball player, amateur wrestler, professional wrestler, that's the worst thing you can do, use the drugs. That means no Dakar, no testosterone, just be like the orange sheik, real man. Eat your breakfast good, stick on eggs, Persian, shish kebab, rice, good food, hit the gym, training. That way you last longer than you be shortcut like Hulk Hogan or Ultimate Warrior or that the artificial body. And I never tell the young generation, or I'm a coach, or I'm a master, I'm a trainer in the University of Minnesota. I never recommended to my student to use the drugs. Don't never use the drug, no good, and you live longer than be artificial body have like Hulk Hogan.
Now, some say the July 1991 appearance of Hulk Hogan on the Arsenio Hall show, when he basically lied about his steroid usage, began the decline of business in the WWF. Do you think that was an accurate statement?
What do you mean aggressive?
Do you think when he went on the Arsenio Hall show and lied, basically saying, I only use steroids to help rehab my knee, when basically everyone knew that he was using it to bulk up?
Of course.
Do you think?
Of course, Mr. Dan Milano, don't insult my intelligent all-American athlete, all-American wrestling fans know he's a no good son of a bitch, liar, and he do it himself, and to get a big and have an artificial body, you know he's lying, and he do himself, and he come tell the all-American kids, don't do it. You know, he loves their Arsenio Hall, sir. He's a no good man himself. You understand my English, yes, sir?
Absolutely. So do you think that that was what started the WWF's decline business-wise? Because soon after that, attendance started going down. There were two separate house show programs at the time, Hulk Hogan and Sergeant Slaughter on one, the A, and on the B it was Ultimate Warrior and The Undertaker. Undertaker and Ultimate Warrior started to outdraw the Hogan Slaughter shows. Do you think that's the reason why he's lying on the Arsenio Hall show?
Absolutely he lied. Yes, sir.
Unbelievable. Iron Sheik, the fall of 1991 after SummerSlam, Sergeant Slaughter decided his character wanted to become a patriot again, and then you started feuding with him, and General Adnan managed you.
Like I said, that was, I mean, you know, I'm just an employee, and I'm a horse, I'm a wrestler, but also I have to go follow soap opera, I have to go listen to the boss, Mr. McMahon Sr., Jr. I didn't have any choice. You're absolutely right. Corner Mustafa didn't match my gimmick. I prefer to go Iron Sheik, but I didn't have a choice. We sold out sold out all over, and my average was good. I make a good money, and I didn't refuse to Mr. McMahon to I don't want to use the Corner Mustafa name. I did, and I used, and business was excellent.
Did you like having General Adnan or Sheik Adnan LKC in your corner as your manager?
I'll be honest with you, no, sir. Because I'm Iranian, I'm a Persian. He's Iraqian.
Right.
He's from Iraq. Iraq, Iran, 7 years war that Jabroni Saddam Hussein was on the power. He was another no good son of a bitch. A lot of innocent people get killed in the Middle East. I respect your country president, Mr. Bush, to send the people over there and they get even with that devil, Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was another killer like Hitler, like Osama bin Laden. I never respect Iraqian. I never respect the Saddam Hussein. And I didn't like even General Adnan to be my coordinator or to be my manager. I have a pride, Mr. Maloney. I'm a real Persian. All this country in the Middle East. I don't want an Iraqian have a war with my country, Iran, to be my manager. No, sir. I didn't like it. I didn't care about that jabroni, General Adnan Casey. He's another Jew jabroni, cheap like Nikola Volkov. Plus, his country have a war with my country. Saddam Hussein, no good son of a bitch. I respect Mr. President Bush to send the army over there, find that son of a bitch and get even with him. And that way, Mr. Bush, I'm a real man. I respect the real men like yourself. I'm not involved with a politician, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, he know about Iron Sheik. Arnold come to the garden, watch me. Arnold tell me, Sheik, you are the real man and champion. And Arnold know himself. We have a picture together. You know who's Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
yes,
the governor, right.
The governor of the California. He told me, Sheik, your neck is bigger than my neck. I said, I have to. I'm a wrestler. You're the bodybuilder. You know you cannot be the legend, real Olympic gold medal. Arnold Schwarzenegger, I have a lot of respect for Arnold. 10 times worse than that faggot Hulk Hogan, worse than Michael Jackson, worse than Archibald Ward. But I respect Arnold Schwarzenegger. I respect Mr. Bush to send the army over there to find that son of a bitch, Osama bin Laden or Saddam Hussein, to get even with them. Mr. Bush, God bless you, and God bless United States of America.
As 1991 started to close down, early 1992, you were on pay-per-views again. Survivor Series 91, you teamed up with the Berserker, Hercules, and Skinner to take on a team led by Jim Duggan and Sergeant Slaughter. You were in the 1992 Royal Rumble that Ric Flair won when the WWF Heavyweight Championship was held up. But in early 1992, right before WrestleMania 8, this time it took place at the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis, there were yet more scandals that took place in wrestling mainstream. This time, in addition to the steroids, there were sex scandals coming out left and right. There were homosexual activities going on to gain a push. You had the ring crew, teenage boys that were harassed by the quote-unquote cream team. Now, you were around the WWF for a long time. Were there any credence in these accusations made? There was the famous Donahue show when Vince McMahon went on with Billy Graham, Bruno Sammartino, Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer, amongst others. What is the reality behind this, Sheik?
Well, I'll be honest, Mr. Maloney. A great question you're asking me, was kind of embarrassing for a World Wrestling Federation to get involved with the gay and sex and whatever this and that. Kind of embarrassing for the real champion like Iron Sheik and Bruno Sammartino. We are real from all the school. Bruno Sammartino, good man, Iron Sheik. And then that days, I feel kind of embarrassed. I feel kind of shame to my company, Mr. McMahon, to go in the national TV, talk to Donahue, right. From Chicago, and it was kind of embarrassing for me. But I'll say, I don't know all the detour about that click that days, but it was not good for World Wrestling Federation.
Well, point blank, would homosexual activity, would that help you move up the ladder in the World Wrestling Federation?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
Now, you have the main three people that had the accusations thrown their way were Pat Patterson, Mel Phillips, Terry Garvin.
Yes,
Those
sir.
three people immediately resigned when the scandals came out and hit the press. Pat Patterson later returned. However, Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin never returned. Do you think that there was something to it?
You're talking about Mel Phillips, referee Blackman?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And very smart, very intelligent, sir. You right it. Mel Phillips, referee Blackman was a gay. Pat Patterson, Terry Garvin, God bless him, passed away. Another friend, Pat Patterson, Louis passed away. And Pat, good friend, and Louis passed away. But like I said, I grew up with the sport, and I'm a real man, and I like women. I didn't get involved with the too many gay people like Pat Patterson, one of Steve Lombardi, another one is Steve Lombardi, another is Susan, or Vince, or that kind of soap opera. I wasn't not. It didn't match me because Bruno, myself, we are the man. Right. We are family man. But you have a good point. We have a good, they had a big, I was on the news, Worston Hacksaw and Orange Sheik.
Right, without a doubt.
God bless you. Worston Hacksaw and Orange Sheik, without doubt about it. To the national TV, Donahue interview. Right. That was bad for Mr. McMahon and his company. And Donahue tell him, right. If you continue like that, cost you $billion to you lose. Which is Mr. McMahon. After that, he take care of everything, and his company was on the control bearer, and they fired that gay man, Mel Phillips. No more Mel Phillips, no more Mel Phillips, and Terry Garvin passed away. Pat Patterson, girlfriend or wife, Louis died. So, and then get better.
Did you ever hear any stories about someone like Pat Patterson, Mel Phillips, or Terry Garvin sexually harassing young teenage boys in the ring crew to try and you know, everyone, when they're a young kid, they become fascinated with wrestling. They want to be around it. Do you think Mel Phillips and Terry Garvin use that to their advantage to have these activities with the underage boys?
100%, sir. They use it. The young green boy, he didn't have a choice. He's good looking. He wants to be a star. He want to be a movie star. He want to be in the Hollywood. He want to be a professional wrestler. He want to be on the television. And they take advantage from young boy. And I believe that they had a special room, sex with him, do that. And the young boy want to get a job, and he's hungry. He wants to be a star. And I believe that. They did it.
Do you think overall that these scandals coming out to the public, do you think it helped the WWF in the long run?
Well, I'm pretty sure all intelligent, your country, family men, people, and wrestling fans, they don't want to see the bunch of gay or fag in the World Wrestling Federation. That's good, but very bad for the young kids, very bad for the wrestling fans. And old days, we didn't have that problem,
right.
But now it's completely different than old days. I cannot talk about that too much, and I can't say not too much about that. That's between Mr. McMahon, Pat Patterson, whatever. But my time, my days, Bruno, myself, we didn't have that problem.
For the first time ever, though, you had a situation where you had Bruno Sammartino speaking out about it. You had Billy Graham, Dr. D. David Schultz, Billy Jack Haynes. It seemed like every week there was a new allegation coming up in the mainstream media. It must have been awfully tough to be out on the road not knowing what was going to come out next.
Absolutely, sir. You're 100% right. It was very very embarrassing for the World Wrestling Federation to have a great wrestler like Bruno Sammartino, Iron Sheik, and now we have to get involved with a bunch of gay or fag or lesbian. That didn't. I was not proud to my company after that. I kind of, my head was down.
Right.
But intelligent, my wrestling fans, coast to coast in your country, border to border, all over the world, and especially all Italian, all my Pazon, all Irish in the Boston, Massachusetts, they know the Iron Sheik is a man, Bruno Sammartino is a man, and we don't go with that gay gimmick or fag gimmick, no.
Right around that time, late 1991, early 1992, WWF began strict steroid testing and drug testing. It led to the suspensions of guys like Superfly Jimmy Snuka, the late Kerry Von Erich, the late Road Warrior Hawk. What was the atmosphere like in the WWF locker room then when they know the gig is up? If we're on the gas, we're going to get caught.
Exactly. It was not fair.
Right.
So like you said, perfect. They're gay, they're fag, and some another athlete that day, like you said, Dr. Zahari, can bring it in locker room, sell it to the boys. It was easy to get, easy to use that days.
Right.
And it was no good for It was no good for World Wrestling Federation.
Absolutely. Iron Sheik, 1992, like we said, the scandals were coming. WWF, in addition to all the drug suspensions that they were handing out, they were also starting to trim the roster a little bit. You left as Colonel Mustafa. How did that come about?
I left to Colonel Mustafa
1992. You left as Colonel Mustafa. What led to that happening?
Well, that was Mr. McMahon's senior idea and junior, and I have to go follow the Caesar of the Rome.
So right after that, you were back again on the independent trails. You worked for the Savoldis down in ICW. You worked for our good friend, the Boston bad boy, Tony Rumble, and his Century Wrestling
God
Alliance.
bless him, yes,
Another
sir.
great human being that really never got a lot in renounced nationwide, but in New England he made a huge impact on the independents. Actually, from what the records say, you worked in the UWFI shoot group in Japan as Kazuro Yuzari in 1992. What was that like?
That was great. I've been over there. I'm glad you mentioned that. There's a shooting company, and I wrestled with the promoter. I forgot his name. The shooter of that.
Right.
And it was a great match, and I had a good time. UWF, right? That's a shooting company.
How did you feel to work on, not work, actually compete under your real name as opposed to the Iron Sheik?
Right. That was a promoter of the Japan idea, and I want to make the money because I'm out of the job, and I have to go. I didn't have a choice, and it was a different feeling. And I had a good time, in the Japanese shooting company. Right. I'm glad you remember. Yes, sir.
When you came
and
back,
another young man, I'm sorry I interrupt you, passed away. He was over there too. The Gary
Gary Albright.
Right.
He passed away a couple of years ago, unfortunately.
You remember.
Now, back in the States, you hit the independent trail hard. How did you find life adjusting from being back in WWF to on the independents again? Pretty much the territories were all dried up and gone. Unless you were in WCW, there really wasn't an alternative to the WWF. You had to survive on the independent.
Absolutely right, Mr. Maloney, because after that, independent was not much. And I was just very lucky, a little bit in Puerto Rico, a little bit overseas Japan, a little bit, a couple of times I go South Africa. They didn't even pay me. The promoter was Indian, yes sir. And I come back home without payoff. That day it was rough, independent. And but I'm glad, at least before that I had my round in WWF. I was make my money and I had a bad investment and I lost it, but at least I had my run. I make it. I enjoy the world, but was there different feeling to you be biggest star? All of a sudden, independent, not here, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. I mean, but I'm glad that come the end of my career, not my young days.
Right. But just when you think you've seen the end of the Iron Sheik in 1996, you're back in the World Wrestling Federation. Now you're with Bob Backlund, your former enemy, managing the Sultan. What led to that happening?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. That was Mr. McMahon Jr. He was idea, and he wants to give me again another break, another chance, because I didn't double cross his company to take the belt to Minnesota for $100,000. But I say, God bless you, invite me again, be manager, and I had a good run, and I've been over Africa with the Sultan, and to the set me up again, and then after they set me up, I didn't pass the test again.
You failed another medicine test?
Yes, sir. I didn't pass it again, and then Sultan was by himself without Iron Sheik.
And then the Sultan went on to become Rikishi a few years later.
God bless you. Yes.
Iron Sheik. 1996 became 1997. You made an appearance at WrestleMania 13. You and Bob Backlund managed the Sultan, and he took on Rocky Maivia, who became The Rock. He had Tony Atlas at the point for a brief run, was sitting in the crowd, and Rocky Johnson interfered. Was there ever any talk of having a six-man tag team match between the six of you?
Well, we had it before a long time ago, but I wasn't not crazy about that six-man tag team match, but office once, and I didn't have a choice, and it was for a short period it was okay, but nothing special.
Unbelievable. 1999, what many would call the worst pay-per-view of all time took place. Heroes of Wrestling from down south was the show where Jake the Snake Roberts was drunk talking to a snake on the ground. He lost his boot. You and Nikolai Volkov teamed up to take on the Bushwhackers. But do you remember anything about that pay-per-view?
You're absolutely right, Mr. Maloney. I'm glad you remind me. You know A to Z about my background better than anybody. It was one match, and that was that gambling casino in
the casino, right?
Right, and Jake the Snake is not horrible, no good, but it was only one match, pay-per-view, Nicola and I against the Bushwhacker. It was nothing special, just to make another
Easy payday.
Easy payday, and it was all right. Except it was embarrassing to the jabroni Jack the Snake, another embarrassing, horrible his way, you know, and very embarrassing for wrestling. I didn't like it.
Fast forward a couple of more years, April 2001, what some consider to be the biggest WrestleMania of all time, WrestleMania 17. Steve Austin against The Rock in the main event, Undertaker against Triple H, and yet another one of the marquee matches was called the Gimmick Battle Royal, where many of the legends and unique characters of WWF past all came together for Battle Royal. And who won the Battle Royal but the Iron Sheik himself?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Dan Maloney, you remember. And thanks once again to invite me. It was a pleasure for me, great feeling to be a part of WrestleMania #1. Number 2, and all of a sudden, number 17. That means old generation, who they know who is Iron Sheik, and new generation, they saw Iron Sheik come the champion of the Battle Royal in the Houston, Texas, WrestleMania 17. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Vince. And thanks you, Mr. Dan Maloney. You remember after WrestleMania #1, I made it all the way to the WrestleMania number 17
Right.
to come World Wrestling WWE one more time champion. I was
For the
happy.
Battle Royal,
Very
that's
great
right.
feeling.
Now, Iron Sheik, is it true, some say in the wrestling media, that the reason you won that Battle Royal was because you were physically unable to go over the top rope?
No.
That was never discussed. They wanted the Sheik to go over in that match?
I can, if I want to go over the top rope, if God bless my friend Tony Rambo, God bless his soul, and it was a great feeling to. I come here yesterday, was a sad ceremony
Right.
for Tony Rambo. If Tony Rambo, Bull Montana, 500 pounds with that big belly, could go to the Battle Royal. If Bull Montana can go over the top rope, why not the legend, Olympic gold medal, Orange Stick? You know that was, I can go anytime I want. If Bull Montana take a bump from top rope on the floor, why not the Orange Stick? You know what I mean.
Bobby Heenan told a funny story about that match in his book. If you remember, when you were coming out to the ring, because you didn't exactly run, Earthquake walked by. He said, at this pace that the Sheik is going right now, he'll be lucky to make it to the ring by WrestleMania 38. Did you take any offense to that?
Not really. You know, their doctor wants to be ripping me, joking me.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to try to talk like the Orange Sheik. But you know, and God know, I'm the one of a million. I come from oldest country in the world, Tehran, Iran, to the greatest wrestling country, America, and I made it. You know, I'm the legend, Muhammad Ali is legend, Oja Samson. Every 100 years, mother born one son, like the Orange Sheik, like Muhammad Ali, like Michael Jordan.
Now, he also told another funny story in his first autobiography that he released. He said, just as he was going out to the broadcast booth with Mean Gene, you didn't have a belt for your pants. So your pants were falling down. You asked Bushwhacker Butch, who was a friend of ours, if he had a belt, and apparently his waist was too small for yours. And just as Bobby was going through, he said your pants fell down along with your flagpole, and your turban. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was, it was they like to rib with me and joke with me, but I was always serious, Dan, and down in the locker room. But Nicola like joke, plays card, tell a joke. But I mean, I'm not good for the joke, and I was not joking, and I was like Bruno, very serious, and all of it, business first, pleasure second.
Let me ask you this. We touched upon it a little bit earlier. What do you think of the death rate among pro wrestlers right now? There are so many guys in their early 40s, mid-40s that are passing away at such a rapid rate compared to other professional sports and other forms of entertainment. Do you think it's the scheduling? Do you think it's the abuse their bodies take? Do you think it's the drugs? Do you think it's the alcohol? What do you think is leading to so many deaths of so many young human beings at such a rapid rate?
You're absolutely right, Mr. Maloney. I feel very bad. I feel very sorry. I miss all of my good friends. Like I said earlier before, one Eric family, all my students, Brian Pellman, and Gordon, Terry Goldie.
Terry Gordy.
Terry
right?
Goldie, all my good friends, and all young generation, and God bless all their soul. And like I said, wrestling sport is a rough sport. We're on the road all the time, coast to coast, border to border, suitcase to suitcase, like gypsy. It's not easy life. We are lonesome. We are all of it. We're not with the family. Sometimes a lot of mentally, physically, money-wise, depressing. And then also, we are like a star. We get involved, we are movie star, we are wrestler, we are champion. You get involved with the drugs. And that way, like I say, the secret is young generation have to have a moderation.
Right.
If they don't have a moderation, and you cannot pick up 2 watermelon with one hand.
Right.
That means you cannot have a party every night and go on the road or go in the ring, have a good match. No, you don't mix it. For me, always business first, my medicine pleasure second.
Do you think unionization of professional wrestling would help this situation?
As a matter of fact, if we had a union and like Sergeant wants to change it, much better. Yeah, and the end, we know We have some retirement coming,
Right.
something coming, family happy, everybody happy. But we don't have that one. A lot of hard road, a lot of hard working. We are on the road more. We see the boys more than we see
Your
our
own
family.
family.
And for this reason, a lot of depression, a lot of psychology, a lot of mentally, depressing, and too much sometimes. That's because, and we make money, and the boys get involved with the drugs, and they have a short round, and they're young, all of them gone. God bless their soul, and I feel bad. I hope we had some kind of thing too, like you said, be behind us.
Right.
We don't have to go to head on the ground young.
Right.
You're right, yes, sir.
Now, unfortunately, in 2003, it was not a good year for you or your family. You were in that terrible car accident when you banged up your knee. What exactly happened there?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that one, Mr. Don Maloney, and that was the worstest year I had. 2003, you're right. I had a car accident, and I lost my daughter. And my wife, she double-crossed me. Mr. McMahon sent for me $18,000. She kept it with me for 3 months till I found the WWF first-class envelope on the basket, and she lied to me to take my $18,000. And I had 3 daughters, and she go Caribbean Sea with my. I lost my Marissa, oldest one, 27. Her husband or boyfriend, he killed my daughter Marissa. She was beautiful. And they cut that son of a bitch in the big house for life. I wish I had a chance I can see him myself, but he didn't give him life. And it was a horrible, horrible 2003 for me, Mr. Maloney. I lost my daughter. I had a car accident to replace the knee. Plus, worse than all, after 32 years, I'm married to the Carol Peterson from Minnesota. I met her in the University of Minnesota. I was a coach. After 32 years, she double-crossed me. My company, Mr. McMahon, sent for me $18,000, and she came with me. Take the money, and with my other two daughters, my Tanya and my Nikki, they went Caribbean Sea, they went Miami, they went spend the money for vacation, and she come back. After vacation, I asked her, it's my boss, Mr. McMahon, WWE, every year, every 3 months, they send for me.
Residual check?
Yes, sir, little check for my merchandise, all this.
And videotape.
Yes, sir. I didn't even know, Mr. Maloney. She got a check. She didn't even tell me. I didn't even know about it. To the last check, I found it by accident in the garbage can, first class WWE envelope, and I take it out from basket, and I saw empty. So I said, wow, first class WWE envelope, empty inside. I'm curious what was in that envelope. So Carol, my wife, go vacation, come back. I asked her, my company send any any royalty?
Right, royalty check.
Royalty check for me. She lied to me after 32 years. I cannot even trust my own wife, American woman. You are gold digger worse than Hulk Hogan. You take my $18,000 and you didn't tell me. And I make money since I met you over than $15 million. And you was on the charge to you take care of my check, my business, my tax, because I cannot read, I cannot write, I don't have a check, I don't have a gold card, nothing. All country way, Mr. Maloney, whatever we want, we buy it cash. But I let my American woman, your country woman, take care of my business, my tax. After 32 years, even my own woman, my own wife, Carol Peterson, worse than Hulk Hogan, and another gold digger cheat me, take my $18,000. You don't even tell me. You break my heart. I don't care you be Farrah Fawcett Major. I don't care you be Sophia Loren. I don't care you be the prettiest woman in the earth. I cannot sleep with you anymore. I cannot have sex with you anymore. I'm going to divorce you, And I know lawyer told me cost me $4,000. It doesn't matter. I hate liar. I hate the chief. You are no good son of a bitch. And you steal my $18,000. After million dollar I give it to you. And you didn't even work most of your life. And you break my heart too. Worse than that jabroni Nicola for $2 for the wheelchair. And worse than that Hollywood blonde faggot Hulk Hogan to come hug me, kiss me, tell me, Shiki baby, I owe you, and I'll call you WCW, and you don't even return my call back. You're no good man, Hulk Hogan. You're a low-life gold digger. You and my wife and Nicola, all three you guys, piece of garbage. Ah! Oh, son of a bitch.
Numerous times in this interview, Iron Sheik, you've alleged that Hulk Hogan is in the ranks of, as you said, a faggot. Around wrestling locker rooms and whatnot over times, there's always been accusations as that goes out. Was Hulk Hogan involved in any of these situations?
100%. He was involved with all of them. He was on the crack. He was a good buddy of the Pat Patterson, Mr. McMahon Jr. I mean, they all was the same. He was on the crack. That's because they get along and they double cross me and they take my belt from me. But also, Hulk Hogan, money talk, money walk. If it wasn't from $1 million, you faggot never can beat me. I'm a legend gold medal, freestyle Greco-Roman, toughest sport in the world in the Olympic. Same is another legend, Kurt Angle. You never can beat Kurt Angle. You never can beat the Iron Sheik, even I'm 90 years old.
Well, I don't think you and Hulk Hogan will be celebrating Thanksgiving together anytime soon. But as we run out of time here, what I'd like to do is just run some names by you and let you respond with some of your thoughts about them, the first thing that pops into your mind. Like someone like Andre the Giant. What do you think of when you think of Andre?
I don't have no respect, nothing for that big man. That big man Andre the Giant making million dollar from professional wrestling, and he was a baby face. That means good guy. He's supposed to take care of Mark better than Iron Sheik. But Iron Sheik is a man, have a heart. Even I'm healed, even I'm a villain, even I'm a bad guy. But any of my wrestling fans, little baby, little mother, father, anyone come to me, ask for my autograph, I give my autograph top, my picture 8x10, free to my wrestling fans. And I never tell my wrestling fans like that jabroni piece of garbage, another French faggot Andre the Giant. I never tell my wrestling fans, no, get out of here, no autograph, get the fuck out of here. Since that, Andre the Giant was like little mouse, like little roaches for me. I never shake out to him, I never say hi to him. And Bruno Sammartino, no, I'm the man. Bruno Sammartino, my Italian paisan, he is another legend man. Have a heart like gold. We believe Jesus. We believe the God. We believe the Allah. That's because God make me to be the best in the United States of America. Like I said, I love America. I born all this country in the Middle East, Tehran, Iran. But I made it greatest wrestling country in the earth, United States of America, and Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in the world. And I want to say again, thanks for the Don Maloney to invite me to the Boston, Massachusetts yesterday for Tony Rambo, my friend, have a ceremony. God bless Tony Rambo, all his family, and especially my good friend Paul Montana. And I want to say again, God bless Maloney Wrestling Federation. And I want to say again, God bless to all my wrestling fans in the Boston, Massachusetts, and God bless United States of America and Mr. Bush.
You say Andre the Giant, you said he was rude towards his fans?
He was not rude. He was the worse than rude. He was a piece of shit. He was a garbage. He didn't have a heart. for wrestling fans. And he's supposed to be babyface to anybody come ask for him autograph. And he tells the fans, no autograph, and get the fuck out of here. He was no good, worse than Hulk Hogan, worse than Ultimate Warrior. He was another giant French fag. I never respect him.
What about Roddy Piper?
Great friend, great performer, the best. My good friend, medicine man, A to the Z. I get along with Bob Orton. I get along with Roddy Hot Rod. I get along with the Living Briggs, the Hammer, Bob Orton. They're all my good friends, Super Plus Snicker. God bless all of them. Not under the giant. He's not my friend. That's because he's on the ground and we are up. And every day we are all above the ground is a good day. That's because what's go round, come back round. Under the giant is on the ground. You and I, Mr. Don Maloney, and we are up. And thank you, God. I love you.
Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart.
I don't have no comment for that jabroni. I don't even respect that jabroni. That jabroni was my first manager. I'm wrestling for the King Jerry Lawler and Nick Gules. Memphis. Jimmy Hart, I tell you, you're a man. You're not man too. And you're another officeman. You're another stooge. You're another puppet. I don't even respect you. You promised to all my wrestling friends in the Boston, Massachusetts, and you get the money half deposit. You don't even show up. No respect for you. You're another gold digger, little jabroni punk. Ah! Oh!
That's right. Jimmy Hart ruined the BostonWrestling.com WrestleFest reunion back on October 2nd, but you were there, Sheik.
Absolutely.
Another blast from the past. What about Bobby the Brain Heenan?
Bobby the Brain Heenan, great manager, great talker, good performer, but I like my manager more than Bobby Heenan. My manager, Mr. Fred Blassie, God bless him. Bobby Heenan never was my manager. I don't want to be my manager. Bobby Heenan is a different class than Mr. Blassie.
Jake the Snake Roberts.
I don't even want to talk about that jabroni.
You're not a Jake the Snake fan?
Are you kidding me? Are you assault my intelligent background?
I don't know what your relationship was with him.
No, sir. I was good to him many times. All the time he needed free medicine, he come to my room. He never returned a paper bag, and I carry his medicine over the border into Canada. 3 grams of coke, I take it for that jabroni over the border in the Edmonton, Canada. And Horace told me, Sheik, he's no good son of a bitch. Don't take a chance again to take care of his 3 grams of coke. That means 8 ball of coke. I take it over the border in the Edmonton, Canada. I take a risk. And after we went in the room, and he only give me the little bump. 3 grams, 8 ball of coke. I take care for that son of a bitch jabroni over the border into Canada. Almost I go into jail. And after that, he come into my room. Only he bring the little bit for me. And I take it, I throw to his face. I tell him, get out of my room.
George the Animal Steele, another legend.
Good man, good friend, God bless.
Harley Race, a man you just mentioned.
Great friend, great performer, the king of the, the king, Harley Race. Harley Race, good performer, good wrestler. But Harley, I love you, you're a good man, but you try to beat me shooting, I take you down, I pen you.
Harley Race tried to take you down in a shoot?
Yeah.
Tell us that story, Sheik.
Well, I mean, Harley Race is, another redneck and tough man. Harley Race compared the 95% of boys old days, Harley tough man, fighter. But Harley Race wants to test the Olympic champion like my boss, Mr. Burgani or Barry Robinson. And I'm a United States gold medal AAU champion. Not Harley Race, not Billy Robinson, not Mr. Gania. So I beat all 3 of them, and I get hit with all 3 of them, but it doesn't matter.
Junkyard Dog.
God bless him. My good friend, he passed away. Junkyard Dog, my doctor, my medicine man, and God bless him, and God bless his soul.
Tito Santana.
Good man, and compared to a lot of Spanish people, great performer, and good hand, good man, and I have a lot of respect for him.
The Jackal's favorite, the magnificent one, Don Morocco.
Great performer, great wrestler, my number one, gimmick man, medicine man all night long, 7 times a week. I mean, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 times a week. Don Morocco, Orange Street, party, A to the Z, good man, God bless you.
Mr. Fuji.
Another great performer, great friend.
Adorable Adrian Adonis.
God bless him. He saw one thing was funny about Adonis. He come my room, we use our my medicine, A to the Z, and then it was a winter cold in the Boston. He put the blanket top his body, and still he was looking all night on the floor. Maybe we dropped some medicine on the floor. He want more. That may make me nervous nighttime. Besides that, it was great.
Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart, the Hart Foundation.
I'm their teacher.
You taught the Harts?
Of course. Calgary. I left Minnesota. 2 years I worked Calgary, and it's too hard to have 10 kids. And then I live with Bret, and no rent, nothing. Wrestling, plus I teach Bret. God bless his brother. And I'm a teacher for that family, and they're great performers.
What about Davey Boy Smith and Dynamite Kid, the British
God
Bulldogs?
bless you, good friend of mine. And like you said, all of them young, maybe too much gimmick, maybe too much testosterone, maybe they don't have a moderation like Goldman or Sheik, and all gone.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
No comment.
Not a big fan of the Macho
No.
Mans?
No.
Miss
Another Jew jabroni.
Miss Elizabeth.
God bless you. So, besides a good friend of mine, very nice lady, but I don't have a respect for that jabroni munchman. No, he's not my class.
Gorilla Monsoon.
God bless you. So he was great, the best.
Pedro Morales.
Puerto Rican, nice man, very smart, good wrestler, good performer, and good man.
$1 Million Man Ted DiBiase.
Another big time jabroni, and he turned to be very phony with that religious gimmick, good talk, and no respect for him.
You don't buy that they're all born again Christians? Or do you think it's just an angle to try and get extra work?
Excellent. That's just the gimmick, that's just the work, and I don't like phony people to come making fun of our religions. You know he's not shoot for all that. It's only for the money.
Right. Polish Power Ivan Putski.
Good friend, and only thing boys didn't like about Ivan Putski, Polish Power, he was wrestling for Mr. McMahon and Mr. Gania. The only time I didn't like about that jabroni, Ivan Putski, Polish Power, he had that garlic gimmick too much. Come in the car, it smells horrible, garlic. Polish people love garlic. So nobody wants, no any boys wants to give him right. Because what they got
the garlic?
Exactly. So finally, Mr. McMahon told me, Sheik, take him around. I was like, Mr. Gania tell me, cows, take him and make the show because a lot of Polish, a lot of Milwaukee, Chicago, and, you know, he was a big hand, big draw. But one of the things I didn't like was Ivan Putski, too much the garlic and too much ha, ga.
King Kong Bundy.
God bless him, good man, good friend.
Big John Studd.
Another good friend, I was wrestling with him and Dick Bruiser Brody, we all together. We was wrestling with Larry O'Day, Australia, and Steve Regard, Singapore, Malaysia, and New Zealand. I had a great time with John Studd and Bruiser Brody.
The Mighty Hercules.
God bless him, another my good medicine man, gimmick man.
Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
Beautiful, very tough, very rough man. He had a big fight with that big man, Van Vader, and Paul Orndorff, pretty strong man, great football player, strength come from heart. He's a German, and he's the toughest man I saw to beat that big man. What is his name? Van Vader?
Big Van Vader, right.
Yeah.
The Ugandan giant Kamala.
Good man, nice man, real good black brother, and nice man, and I have a lot of respect for Kamala. He's a good man, good friend.
Afa and Sika, the Wild Samoans.
Good people, good friend, many years, and especially my brother, Super Pro Snuka, and I had a great time with them.
Rocky Johnson.
I get along with Rocky, and his son Dewey was young, which was Charlotte, and I have a lot of respect for Rock and her mother, Peter Mavia's daughter, you know.
Yes.
And I get along with them, and good friends of mine, good people.
The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes.
Excellent man, and God bless him and his partner Dickie Murdoch. We were resting for Mr. Gania, old days, and they want to take me from Minneapolis to Fargo, North Dakota. And Dickie, God bless his soul, he liked his beer, and Texas man redneck. Dickie was driving, Dusty passenger, and we had a pickup truck, only for two people, and I have to go sit in the behind the truck. 20 below zero, we make the trip from Minneapolis to Fargo. That was the coldest day I had. Try to sit in the behind the, you know what I mean? Truck, little truck, only good for two passengers. Dusty was driving. Dickie was driving. Dusty passenger, and I have to go in the trunk, in the, you know what I'm talking.
Right.
In the behind the truck. Oh, it was cold that days. I never forgot that days. 20 below zero. I don't know whether that was Dusty and Dickie was rape but I get along with them. They're good people, good friends of mine since Minnesota.
The Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Nature Boy Ric Flair, only thinking about Nature Boy Ric Flair. He's another gold digger like Hulk Hogan. I remember in the Minnesota, he used to tell me, "Cause I love you, don't hurt me," in the training camp. He was a big fat boy, 350 pounds, and then he wants to be a professional wrestler. He was another medicine man, gimmick man, and his roommate was Brendaman Camputero, the strongest man in the world. And Ric Flair, he forgot about the days in the camp. I was 180 pounds, and I beat all of them. Billy Robinson, Stretch Camputero, Stretch Ric Flair, and Greg Gagne, Jim Brunziller, Billy Robinson, Englishman. He never competed Olympic. He never come AAU champion. Billy Robinson, cheap shot. He hurt me. I give my body to him. He jumped in the air with the knee, hit my jaw. He hurt me, but I come back. I didn't quit. I didn't give up. I stretched Billy Robinson. I stretched my boss, Mr. Gagne. I stretched Ric Flair. I stretched Camputero. I beat all of them. But Ric Flair, you're a phony son of a bitch. You're only thinking about yourself. And you tell me, "Cause I love you, don't hurt me." And he was a big fat, about 350 pounds. We started together. But Ric Flair is a phony. Ric Flair is another Hulk Hogan, son of a bitch, two-faced. Only Ric Flair thinking about Ric Flair. But don't forget, you started in Minnesota, 180 pounds, I'm a gold medal. You're a big fat, about 350 pounds. You say, Dakot, testosterone. You used to tell me, "Cause, don't hurt me." No. But the day I need you, you didn't return my phone call back too. You are another two-faced stooge, only thinking about Ric Flair. That's all. I don't like him too much, and I don't give a fuck about Ric Flair.
Linda McMahon.
Great lady. Beautiful. The best.
Now, what role do you think she plays behind the scenes that the fans at home might not know about?
Well, a lot of people doesn't know behind that scene. Whatever they do is stay over there. Like Mrs. Bush said, whatever we do in the palace, White House, only stay in the White House. Only that people know, not everybody else. Same is that situation you asking me. But I'll be honest with you, Linda McMahon, very nice to me. She sent me to the rehab, and they pay $15,000. I cannot say Mrs. Linda McMahon is a bad lady. I love her, God bless her. She's a beautiful person.
And last but not least.
I'm sorry?
Last but not least, the Iron Sheik. What do you think of the Iron Sheik? And what would you like your fans to know about you and to remember you as?
Well, I want all my fans, especially in the Boston and Massachusetts, and all my wrestling fans in the Maloney Wrestling Federation. I want to say thanks to the Mr. Maloney, Dan Maloney, bring me here, promoter, and thanks to the Maloney Wrestling Federation. Try to get involved again one more time. Try to come Boston, see all my wrestling friends. I want all my wrestling friends, coast to coast, border to border, all over the world, to they know I'm a real champion. I'm a real Iron Sheik. As you know, the people go neighbor of my country, they bring Saddam Hussein and statue down and they break it. But I know all my wrestling friends love to hold the Iron Sheik, a statue or his doll, and I want to say, God bless all my wrestling friends, coast to coast, border to border, and especially in Massachusetts. And I want to say, pleasure for me again to I come to Boston one more time. God bless all my wrestling friends, and everybody have a good day. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God, and God bless America.
Iron Sheik, thank you for joining us in the debut edition of the Studio Shoot Interview Series. Thank you very much.
Simple. Keep the kids off the streets. Under the leadership of President David Reese, we bring the superstars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow to your town. Not for a wrestling show, but an event that features action-packed in-ring wrestling, autograph, pose photo opportunities, Q&A sessions, and so much more. It's the best of sports and entertainment. The week of your event, we can add on to the endeavor with anti-bullying campaigns, library meet and greet reads, youth sport concussion seminars, and more.
Our live events are fit for fans of any age from 5 to 95. This fall, as part of our new Kids Club program, we offer live event experiences exclusively for the youngest of fans. On the flip side, we can produce a tailor-made event for fans of an older demographic as well. We work with you every step of the way to get the word out to fans near and far on our local television offerings and to over 50,000 fans and growing on our social media platforms.
Your success is our success. If your group has had enough of candy bar and wrapping paper sales and has the energy to team with our passionate fan base, bringing the NWF experience to your community is the answer to put smiles on faces while raising cash for your cause.
Contact us today to get the ball rolling for your custom-made event that you'll want to bring back year after year to your community.
Don't just take it from us. Here are the folks we've teamed up with in the past.